Doki people, we're back live. Welcome back. This is still Ace Attorney, the Great Ace Attorney Adventures, the first of the two games in Great Ace Attorney Chronicles on the Nintendo Switch, and this is going to be part 2 then, picking up right where we left off yesterday. So, let's see. Can you confirm this is indeed the bottle from which you drank on the day of the victim's death? Yes, it was that bottle. What was that about? She seemed to avert her eyes when she answered the judge's question. Very well, counsel, you may resume the cross-examination. And the inspector will kindly control his fervor. Yeah, because I interrupted myself in the middle of the thing here, I hope I'll still be able to figure things out. It's kind of hard to spot where I was exactly. Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burned his wrist like that. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. Hello, Monica. Good evening. Feeling good? How about you? How have you been? If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. But of course, this country is inferior. Wait a moment. Oh, by the way. What does it say here? The label is written in a foreign language that I don't recognize. Do you know what it says, Kazuma? I think it's French. This must be very expensive water. Yes, but what does it say? That's what I was asking. And go to France and ask. You could just say that you don't know. Well, there still seems to be water inside. It's not empty. So this carbonated water is the last drink Dr. Wilson ever had. It looks like there's a little left in the bottle, although it's just plain water now. You know, I've been sweating so much, I'm absolutely parched. I'll just have a sip of this to keep me going. No, Ryunosuke, you can't do that. For one thing, that's evidence. You can't go drinking evidence. Oh no, you're right. We don't know what might be inside, do we? You never cease to amaze me, Ryunosuke, in more ways than one. Tired but excited about this? Are you just about as far into the game as I am, or are you further, perhaps? I wonder, could there be anything in this water? What's the matter? You've gone quiet all of a sudden. I think I might have just worked something out. An interesting possibility. Should I press again, maybe? Or I already have, I think, here. Yeah, that's the same part of the dialogue as yesterday here. Okay, new evidence. Excellent work. Yeah, maybe I needed to finish the sequence. New evidence. Excellent work, Ryunosuke. I never even thought of pursuing another witness over the current witness's statements. That was a great idea of yours, Kazuma. Well, it was all thanks to you noticing that the detective had reacted strangely to what the lady said. I'd never have guessed he had all that bubbling away under the surface. To be honest, you keep surprising me at every turn. Sorry? Oh, never mind. So we know that Dr. Wilson was killed at around the time the steak was brought to his table, and by some means that left no physical trace on his body. You forgot to play after having finally eaten yesterday? Yesterday? Ah, okay. Well, I do have one idea about that. How about how the professor was killed? You'll be playing it later? Ah, okay. Maybe I should just present the evidence and see what happens. Yeah, when she says that... Without leaving a trace. Here, perhaps, then. Okay, there we go. What is this? The bottle of water? Actually, there is one method of killing a man without leaving a trace that comes to mind. Obviously, I'm referring to poison. Poison? Yeah, but the forensics report, well, or a post-mortem memo or something like that, whatever they call it here, says the cause of death as being caused by being the bullet. So on the day of his death, we know that Dr. Wilson drank from this bottle of carbonated water. Could it be that there was poison inside? Could it be that the professor actually died after taking a sip from his glass? How much are you willing to bet that it's not that bottle? I don't know, she averted her eyes when she answered the question about the bottle, so I don't know if this is truly that simple. Order! 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 And on that day, who was sitting at the same table as the professor and able to slip the poison into his drink? There's only person... Yeah, okay, traditional Capcom misspelling, I guess. There was only one person who could possibly have done it. Giselle, Brett, I don't know. It was you. She has a weird name anyway. Giselle, maybe. This is outrageous to suggest such a thing without a scrap of evidence. They may not have thought to look for poison since the bullet wound seemed pretty obvious. It has happened before. Yeah, true. Very true. Like, the bullet could have just been meant to mask the fact that it was poison, because if someone was dead without any traces of like wounds or being assaulted or in any kind of way, I guess then they would have maybe thought of poison. But if there is a bullet hole, and I guess with their investigative techniques back then not being quite as refined as they are today, yeah, they would not have thought of poison. Yeah, in real life too, yeah. You little rookie imbecile, have you even considered the delicate situation our country finds itself in now? Have you forgotten that we have only just signed an accord of friendship with the British Empire? Have you even the vaguest inkling that your rash accusations could jeopardize the entire treaty? Who cares about that treaty? This is not a political arena. This is a trial to determine one individual's guilt with respect to one crime. What? Like, this is news to him, apparently. The fact that this woman is British makes no difference. We are here to determine the truth. Grr. If I may, I will silence you forever for this disgraceful... Oh, shut up! It is you who should be silent. Wait, what was he about to say? I like that, though. The shut up! Because this is the Japanese voices, too, so I guess she does say it in English, even in the Japanese version of the game. I will silence you forever for this disgraceful attack on the lovely young... Oh, okay, and then she cut in. Of course. Dear lady! Where did that come from? She just snapped. Can you see her face? I'm afraid I may have spoken unfairly before. I offer my most humble apologies. I'm sorry, my lady. To what are you referring? I described your police force as inferior, but no matter how inferior they may be, you still investigated this particular point thoroughly, I believe. The bottle, I mean, Inspector. And whether it contained poison or not. The poison was never in the bottle, it's in the glass, and that's why she took away the glass. I'm pretty sure of it. You did? Have you forgotten what my guiding principle is already? Yeah, strive for a flawless investigation every time, yeah. I don't believe it. Naturally, we tested the inside of the bottle and its contents. But did you try the glass? And what did you find, Inspector? I ordered tests for every toxin that's available in this country at the present time. We could find no trace of poison of any description in the bottle of carbonated water, Your Excellency. What? Are you sure? The tests were meticulously carried out by the chief coroner himself. No! No! I'm very grateful to all you Japanese. You've successfully established my complete innocence in this horrid affair. Thank you. No. But of course, dear lady, the pleasure was all ours. I was so sure. This can't be right. Everything falls into place if he was poisoned. Thank you, counsel. I think that cross-examination has clarified everything. As the prosecution has asserted, a shot to the chest from this gun is the only conceivable cause of death. Furthermore, the accused, who by his own admission was holding this weapon, is the only possible culprit. I'm done for. The court wishes to apologize for the great inconvenience this has caused you, Miss Brett. Oh no, I'm just glad the matter is resolved. Before proceeding, I must ask the counsel for the defense. Do you have any further new evidence to present to the court at this point? The picture of the bag. Probably. Kazuma? I'm sorry, Ryunosuke. I have nothing more. Well, if you'll excuse me now, I really must be leaving. Mata! Who said that? Ah. Okay. Please, wait! Isn't that... What is the meaning of this? Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Sisato Mikotoba, Judicial Assistant to the Defense. Mikotoba? Isn't that the same name as the other guy? Is that his daughter then? Yeah. She's his daughter, I guess. 16 years old. And he's 42. In my darkest hour, with nowhere left to go, she appeared like a bolt of lightning. And in her hand, she carried a small package wrapped in the furoshiki cloth. To be continued in part 3. This is a pretty long first case for an Ace Attorney game. Well, I understand you are the judicial assistant to the defense. But why this sudden ingress into my courtroom? A judicial assistant, and a woman no less. The rules state that females are not permitted into this court of law other than to testify. Is that so? Almost where you could have waited to end yesterday? Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, but I couldn't know that this would come so soon, though. I have some vital evidence that I must hand over to the defense. You are too late, little girl. This trial has already been concluded. 5 minutes. I will not allow a moment more. But, Your Excellency! I am most grateful. Who exactly are you? I'm sorry, there's no time. Please, simply accept this for now. What is it? A report about something, written in English. It's Giselle Brett's research. The English woman's? After the trial resumed earlier, I hurried back to the university. I went to Dr. Wilson's laboratory in the medical faculty and borrowed this paper. Oh yes, that's right. Miss Brett was studying under the professor, wasn't she? So does this research, whatever it is, have something to do with the case? I'm afraid I don't know. I haven't been able to listen to the proceedings of the trial myself. Oh, no, of course not. Special characteristics of curare and its effects on human subjects. Interesting. I'm not sure how you say it in English, but I know what it is, of course, because it's the same word in French. It's a poison. Time's up! The prosecution demands the immediate removal of this female trespasser from the courtroom. Yikes. There was too little time for me to read it in detail, but I've summarized what I could on a note just inside the cover. If you think it could be valuable, please cast your eyes over it. This is wonderful, thank you. Giselle's report has been entered into the court record. Goodbye then, and good luck. You have had long enough, Counsel. We cannot detain our English guest any longer. I ask the prosecution and the defense now one last time. Does either side have any further evidence to present to the court? I presume not, but... Let me have a look at this, though. It's just been added to the court record, so... A poison made from the bark of certain trees in the jungles of South America. The hunters of the region have used it since ancient times to incapacitate their prey. South America? That would be hard to come by, no? Effects: instant paralysis of the entire body and subsequent death, even in minute doses. Route of entry: the above-mentioned effects occur when the poison enters the body through a wound, such as that inflicted by a blowpipe dart. Due to its ability to render the human body paralytic, it's believed that the toxin could have application as an anesthetic. However, a solution for the respiratory arrest caused as a result of the full body paralysis must be found first, or patients would die of suffocation. For as an anesthetic? That's not what they used at the dentist, right? Well, no, that was laughing gas, they said. Yeah, it's just believed that the toxin could have application as an anesthetic. Okay. Okay, the prosecution has made its case convincingly enough already. Nothing more to add, Your Excellency. Inosuke, we're out of options here. This really is our very last chance. Yes, I know. Your Excellency, the defense does have new evidence. That look. The unyielding stare of a true Japanese warrior. Well, Miss Brett. Yes, Your Excellency. If you wouldn't mind, perhaps you could grace us with your presence a little longer. She shouldn't have a say in the matter. It's a delightful invitation, but I'm afraid... It's not so very long until tea time. I'll have to politely decline. Forgive me, Miss Brett. It seems I wasn't clear. I realize it was phrased as a question. However, I must ask you to treat that as an order. Okay. Is that maybe a Japanese thing? It's like... I said it as a question out of politeness, but it was actually meant as an order. Yeah, okay. I've said it many times before, but the Japanese language makes no sense. Yeah, I think that may be the case. Yeah, I think it's just a Japanese way of talking, perhaps. That it was phrased in that way. My apologies, dear lady. So, counsel. What is this new evidence that demands the court's attention? Well, that, I suppose, what else could it be? Miss Giselle Brett. They are very polite, especially since she is English and they want a good relationship with them. Yeah, I would imagine. Well, I guess there may be some historical accuracy in that treaty. I mean, must have existed. I mean, they didn't invent it for this game. And around that time too, I guess, that the game is taking place. We understand you were studying under Dr. Wilson at Yume University doing research. Research by sheer coincidence, perhaps, into a deadly poison. What? Poison? Where are you going with this, counsel? A toxin known as curare? I suppose that must be how it's pronounced. Your Excellency, even the slightest amount of this deadly poison entering the body leads to instant death. What complete and utter nonsense? Curare, you say? I've never even heard of it. You wouldn't have done. What do you mean? I mean that you wouldn't have heard of curare before, for one very simple reason. It doesn't exist in our country. It doesn't exist? correct, which means no matter what tests the police can do for toxins, they'd never identify Kurar. Why? Because there is no test available here that can identify the presence of this highly deadly poison. What? And I guess it makes sense with what she said, that it's not the sort of thing that they would think of checking. It's not so much that they wouldn't think of looking for poison, since they did in this case, but just not this one. Counsel, does this deadly poison truly exist? According to this report authored by the visiting research student from England, Kurar has long been used by the tribespeople of South America as a poison to lace their arrows. It seems that it's reasonably well known among European doctors and scientists. To lace their arrows? The report states that it is produced from the extract of a tree that grows deep in the Amazonian jungle, and it was first brought back to Europe at the turn of the century by explorers. It claims that animals shot by arrows laced with Kurar suffer instant death. Doesn't that about sum it up, Miss Brett? Trumpery! These aspersions are utter trumpery! To start with, if the victim had been administered some of this so-called deadly poison, he would have been squirming and writhing in pain, and the other diners would have surely noticed. That's true. What do you say to that, Inspector? Trumpery, yeah. What's another word, maybe, that's a bit more modern to say it? Trickery, more like, I guess, would be what we would say today. Obviously, I would have noticed a disturbance like that. I don't remember anything like that either. I didn't notice the professor being in any kind of pain. According to this, however, it's the other way around. What do you mean, the other way around? The very fact that the victim didn't show any visible signs of distress is evidence that Kurar was used. Explain yourself, Counsel. The moment this toxin enters a person's systems, it causes instant paralysis. In other words, afflicted victims lose all strength and are completely unable to move. Even if they were in total agony, there would be no visible signs of pain at all. How terrible! Obviously, if a man lost all strength in his muscles, he'd collapse on the floor, but with a chair under him for support, as Dr. Wilson did, the effects could go largely unnoticed. But I don't follow, Kazuma. That's just paralysis. I thought the poison caused instant death. The full explanation is extremely unpleasant. The poison causes immediate paralysis, as I said, leaving the victim unable to move. But after a short time, the paralysis is so severe it causes the muscles that control respiration to fail. Respiration? The venom of some scorpions can do that too, or some insects or spiders. Tropical scorpions and spiders. In other words, the actual cause of death is suffocation. And all the while, the victim is conscious and aware, just unable to move. Well, they do say that it's these tribes people extract it maybe from the venom of something, of some creature. That's hideous. To the observer, it would look almost like the victim was slipping peacefully into an endless sleep. I love that Yusiri Inosuke was looking through papers while Kazuma was talking before. Yeah, there's more movement like that and life injected into those scenes. It's still very much in the style of the 2D ones, because it's mostly them being still and making faces and the like, but using 3D character models. Yeah, from the bark of a tree, yeah, they said, yeah. Yeah, you followed better than I did. But for the victim himself, his final moments would be a living hell. That is the true nature of this deadly Kurar poison. Silence. And you're suggesting that this bottle, Counsel, actually contains this terrifying poison? This is all very convenient, isn't it? Hitherto unknown poison from which there is no means of testing. What a happy tale for the defense. Ahem, if I may. All these facts, you think you're so clever, but you must be taught... Shut up! It is you who must be taught. Of course. dear lady! So this is how you Japanese behave, is it? What? You steal another's honest hard work and then announce the result as if you discovered them. I'm appalled. What a loathsome act. Well, Miss Brett, the feeling is mutual. Whatever do you mean? Capitalizing on the unfortunate circumstances of an innocent man to frame him for a heinous crime. That really is a loathsome act. Wouldn't you agree? Enough of this. I, for one, refuse to accept it. The idea of some poison that doesn't even exist in the great empire of Japan is breaking the rules. What's so funny? Oh, excuse me, Your Excellency? Yes, Miss Brett. May I borrow that bottle for a moment, please? Well, yes, I don't see, why not? She's gonna drink it. The poison isn't in there. It was in the. It was in the glass. Don't get too big for your boots, you insignificant little island boys. You're an island girl yourself. To an English woman such as myself, this whole affair is a farcical comedy. Your little police games and these foolish courtroom antics, it's laughable, really. But I'm getting bored of it all now. It's time for the games to end. Cheers! Wait, what are you doing? No sparkle left at all. How appropriate for this shabby affair. It's in the glass! Goodness, whatever is the matter? You all look quite stunned. So, no Karar. The bottle was clean. Is that what you're saying? You look quite incredulous, little boy, but of course. That's the simple truth. Thank you for presenting the findings of my research so concisely here in this grand venue. Most kind. Grr. Thank you, waiter. Now then, Your Excellency. Yes, Miss Brett? I should like to be excused now, please. I think I've given more than enough of my time for the furtherance of friendship between our countries. Yes, dear lady, we are most gratified with all the assistance you have given. This doesn't make sense. There had to have been poison in that bottle. So how did she swallow a whole glass and live to tell the tale? I don't understand it. Well, I suppose if nothing else, this little Far Eastern charade will make for interesting conversation at the next party I attend in London. There has to have been poison in that bottle, doesn't there? But there can't have been, because otherwise she would have keeled over dead. Come on, Ryunosuke. We have all the clues now. That bottle of water? It's not in there. Ah, he's getting better at it. As I thought, there is no poison in that bottle. What? Why, Ryunosuke? Isn't it obvious if there was poison in there, she'd be dead by now? Sometimes your unadulterated naivety really astounds me, but sometimes it's in need of a good staining. Until it's as dark as your uniform in the ways of the world. Oh, is that what this color is supposed to represent? What? I'm not gonna be... That's not it? Okay. This whole trial is poisoned. Or I guess she could have swallowed the antidote beforehand, or Why did she take the glass away then? Was it really that simple? It was simply to conceal her presence there? That's kind of lame. That would have been more interesting if the glass had had poison in it. The culprit did put Kira poison into Dr. Wilson's carbonated water. The defense refuses to change its position. You're serious? Fool, are you blind? There is no possible way that bottle could contain poison. I mean, we just saw Miss Brett drinking the water from it. That's right, which rather complicates your argument, I think. Could it lose its effect? I don't know. And I believe that complication can be explained. How exactly? I need to think through all the things that don't quite add up here, one by one. I'm sure the answer is in the evidence we have in the court record somewhere. It has to be. Very well, if the defense truly intends to assert this claim, then I must ask you to support the assertion with evidence. What explains how the witness was able to consume this supposedly poisoned water unscathed? That's been my idea all along, but... I mean, poison can actually get old and then it isn't as potent and you won't die but get really, really sick. Yeah, I suppose so. Depending on how old it is, you might just get a stomachache. With a poison as powerful as this one, though, I wonder. I'm not sure of myself here, but... It seems the defense, or should I say the wretched accused, is the only real source of complication in this case. Yeah, I'm getting penalized, so that's not it. Or this one? Okay, yeah, no, it's saying the same thing. You can actually see through the card what's written on the other side. Yeah, I doubt the poison would be old. Yeah. I doubt it too. Or it's the report. Okay, it's the report. The answer to this riddle is right here in Miss Brett's own research report. That's not a valid explanation. No. After all, We don't speak English, or that report is utter gibberish. This impudent young scoundrel is trying to ridicule the court, Your Excellency. Yeah, calling English gibberish, I guess, is, You think it's good for those, relations with, the other country? I'm not trying to ridicule anyone, honest. I'm just reading Sato-san's notes. I concur. This report is too extensive to be considered in its entirety by the court. You will direct us to the pertinent section council. Okay, let me read it again. What makes the most sense in there? Yeah. Oh, I was dropping frames there. Yeah, okay, so it does say that the instant paralysis of the entire body and subsequent death, those effects occur when the poison enters the body through a wound. I think it's the route of entry that is maybe the reason why she didn't keel over. What's that? The carbonated water? We've been hearing a lot about this Karar poison, and it's left me curious about something. Oh, Council? What it sounds as though indigenous hunters have been using this poison for years and years to lace the heads of the arrows that they shot at whatever prey they are hunting. Yeah, true. They would have had some on their hands and stuff, but they didn't get poisoned themselves. Yeah, that's true, actually. So we've been led to believe, yes. And the point of hunting is to catch prey to eat. Ah, yeah, true also. If the poison was in the meat, then how come they didn't die from eating the animals that would have been poisoned, I guess? Don't know, I'm just slinging out what I am thinking. Throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. Get to the point, please. But if they were to use these laced arrows, doesn't that mean there would be traces of poison left in the prey the hunters were going to eat? Yes, good point. So surely the hunters wouldn't want to eat their prey, would they? Because then they'd be eating poison. Good gracious, Council, no, that would be madness. But I actually found the answer to that conundrum. In this research paper here, under special characteristics, it says this. The poison starts to work after entering the body through a wound. Through a wound, you say? I see, that makes sense. The mention of that particular detail seemed a little strange to me, though. But it all makes sense when you interpret what's written like this. Ah, I've had so many of these lately. When Karar enters the body through an open wound, it has terrifying poisonous effects, however. When it enters the body via the mouth, it has no poisonous effects whatsoever. So what, was the bullet he was shot with coated with the thing? But what was the point of the whole bottle discussion then? Miss Brett, you authored this research. You knew Kurara's special characteristics. And you knew that you could make a spectacle of drinking that water without any danger to yourself. You're so popular with the wrong kind. Sadly. You meddling little... Rapscallion? Don't we get to see her face when she gets angry or something? Like when she explodes? Well, Lirosuke, it turns out you're an even better lawyer than I thought you'd be. Really? Me? A lawyer? All this poison talk is fascinating, I'm sure, but I fail to see how this possibly... Shut up! So the ill-bred little puppy has a new toy to play with. Some facts he read in a book. But I'm afraid knowledge doesn't suit you, little boy. It only makes you look silly. What are you trying to say? I also like that the swan is alive on our hat. Sorry, oops, I skipped a line. Your schoolboyish logic has a fatal flaw. Schoolboyish? Flaw? As even your brain has managed to deduce, curare is safe to ingest. It seems likely that its effects are neutralized by the acidic nature of the gastric succus. Oh yes, well, of course. Gastric suckers? What are they? So if this lethal poison is completely harmless when drunk, the professor wouldn't have died when he swallowed it, would he? Yeah. Ah, that's right. Good gracious. That's basic science. Science that even a schoolboy should be able to understand. Order! Order in the court! Order! The logic holds. If the lady and the professor drank the same poison, they would be affected in the same way. Are you trying to suggest... Yes, this curare poison is completely irrelevant to the case on trial. Wait a second. Wait a second. He had a tooth pulled out of his mouth. He had an open wound in his mouth. That's how we would have gotten poisoned from drinking it. I bet that's it. That's right. Surely even a little cockroach like you could understand something as simple as that. What is this welling up inside me? I've never felt like this before. It's a sort of conviction to break down all the discrepancies. It's so intense, almost rage-like. And more than anything else, it's an animalistic desire to take down my prey. Ooh! His first objection. I don't think so, Miss Giselle Brett. How dare you use that tone with me? You know very well that there is no fatal flaw here. You know exactly why, even though both you and the victim swallowed the same poison. You are alive, but Dr. Wilson is dead. Counsel, I'm sure I don't need to remind you. You must provide compelling evidence. As we now know that this poison is completely harmless when ingested, why would Dr. Wilson alone have been killed by the curare? Well, it's, this one, right? I think. Well, even if I get penalized, let's try it because I feel pretty sure of myself on this one. As Miss Brett so readily pointed out, she drank the same water as the professor. However, there was a fundamental and fatal difference between the two diners. A fatal difference? The toxic effects of curare are only felt when the poison enters the body through an open wound. So for a healthy person with no injuries, drinking it is completely harmless. But what if there was a wound inside the mouth of the person drinking the poisoned water? Yes. That's it. Inside? Yes, like the wound you might have if you had just been to the dentist and had a tooth extracted, for example. Miss Brett, you've acknowledged many times in your testimony already that you were well aware of Dr. Wilson's dental appointment that day. So that's it. You used that knowledge to orchestrate this. Yeah, besides she would have known that the only thing he was allowed to ingest was water, so... Is she... laughing? I don't like to repeat myself, but honestly, I can't resist. These childish courtroom games and your half-baked arguments are also puerile. Puerile? Puerile? I'm not sure how you say it. What do you mean? Don't worry, little schoolboy. You'll find out soon enough. You see, when you leave vital evidence lying around, you never know what might happen to it. No, I mean, it could just slip. But we still have the glass. What I said before, I think my first idea was still the right one. And this is how they're gonna prove it with the glass, because that's the reason she took it away, because that was evidence. Oh dear, how careless of me. I'm afraid some crucial evidence may have just been tragically destroyed. No! What is it? What just happened? It's the Englishwoman. She just smashed that bottle. And in the Supreme Court, what a terrible blunder. Officer, what are you waiting for? Collect up as much of the water from that broken bottle as possible at once. You're wasting your time. This delightful carpet under my feet here was a gift from the British Empire. I assure you it will soak up the water beautifully. You have neither the technology nor the presence of mind to recover it. How could you? You won't get away with this. You can thump the bench and shout as much as you like, little boy. But I'm afraid we'll never know now, will we? If there really was poison in the bottle or not. But then again, I guess if they would have to analyze the glass for traces of poison, they could just as well do the same thing with the bits and shards of the bottle, I guess. If it could be detected not from the liquid itself, but from the dried residues, they could do it from the shards of glass as well. So, I'm not sure, after all. Let us not forget we still have some very compelling evidence left intact. Isn't that right, counsel for the prosecution? Oh, of course, of course. You're referring to this photographic print, I presume, dear lady. That's right, and really, looking at this photograph, it's clear as day, isn't it? The poor professor was sitting with his back to me. So of course the only person who could have shot him from the front is the little schoolboy. No, you killed the victim that day using Kurar. And then in order to frame Ryunosuke Naruhodo for the crime. Yep, it had to be that way. Why would she have broken the bottle otherwise? She would have had no reason to do so. And then in order to frame Ryunosuke Naruhodo for the crime, you waited until he picked up the pistol you'd arranged for him to find on the floor, before you shot the professor's dead body in the chest with your own hidden gun. Then in the confusion that followed, all you had to do was turn the dead professor and his chair around. You see, you had every opportunity to commit this crime. What a wonderful imagination you have, young man. A hidden gun, you say? And I shot the professor's dead body, did I? Well, I'm terribly sorry, but you don't have a shred of evidence. Exactly, and as you have nothing to support your wild claims, the prosecution's stance remains unchanged. The victim, Dr. John H. Wilson, was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Delivered in cold blood by the accused, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. This is unbelievable. How can this be happening? Well, thanks for the follow for a preview, if you're not a bot. Because I've had a lot of bot following lately. We had her, but now is she really going to get away with it? The way she destroyed that evidence was obscene. Ryunosuke, yes, we've come this far, but now you're the only one who can finish it. What? What do you mean? We've lost a vital piece of evidence, it's true. So if there are any clues left for us to use now, they must be in your head. In my head? You told me before that your powers of observation were the one thing you could really depend on. Well, yes, that's true, but I didn't manage to notice that this woman was a foreigner with a swan on her head. So think back again now. Try to remember every last detail about the scene that day. Everything you saw, everything you felt, every color, every smell. What I saw, what I felt. Every color. Ah, yeah, there's blood on the plate. And there is no exit wound, so he had to have been shot from across the table. Is Kazuma right? Somewhere in the vibrant memory of this same scene in my head. Could there be another clue to expose the identity of Dr. Wilson's killer? It's right there on the screen. Actually, Kazuma, I think I might have something. Thinking back over everything I saw, I think I might have uncovered another clue. Okay, pardon me. Haha, you always have something up your sleeve, don't you, Rinosuke? Come on then, let's wipe the smug smile off that English woman's face with some evidence. Alright, I can't wait. It's been niggling me for a while that something feels amiss in my memories of that day. Whatever it is could be the key to arriving at the truth about all this. It's here, somewhere, that clue that shows Dr. Wilson's real killer must have been is... I wonder what that thing is here. What's that here? There's something less blurry? Like something poking out, but I'm not sure. No, I know what it is. It's the knife that you can see through the opening in the back of the chair. That's on the table behind him. Kalae! Inspector Hosonaga, answer me this. Yes, what is it? Ah, he's still miles away, probably thinking about that bottle being smashed. As you've said a number of times now, you strive for perfection in your investigations, don't you? Absolutely. I wonder, therefore, if perhaps you took anything else from the scene of the crime. Like, for instance, the plate of steak that you took to the victim's table that day. Wait a minute, where are you going with... Shut up! Where are you going with this, little boy? It's just a memory that's been troubling me. What memory? I saw the scene shown in this photographic print with my own eyes that day. And I saw that on the wooden base of the plate that the steak was served on was a spattering of blood. What? Oh, really? And what of it? Obviously that must have happened when you shot the professor. No, that can't be the case. Take a good look at the photograph and the relative position of everything there. The plate of steak is almost directly behind the victim. If I'm supposed to have shot Dr. Wilson in the chest from the front, there's no way that blood from the victim could have ended up directly behind him. Yes, for blood to have made it onto the plate, it implies the plate was between the victim and the shooter, which means the shooter must have been sitting opposite the professor as you were. Giselle Brett, I beg your pardon? This is beyond ridiculous. Fabricated nonsense. Is the court seriously expected to believe something the accused has apparently just remembered seeing? Mata. This could be the moment that my entire career in the police force has been leading to. Inspector, you mean... Yes, I took the plate, in the interest of preserving evidence from the scene of the crime. I took it, meat and all, and I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief because of it. You did what? I took the steak that she had been eating, Miss Brett. I took the steak that the sergeant had been eating. And I did it all in the name of justice. His face when he says that, he's super excited. Then we can find out for sure whether or not there's a bloodstain on Miss Brett's plate. We must examine it now. I love him. Inspector, the court wishes to examine the plate from the victim's table immediately. Yes, sir. Okay, sorry for the delay. Indeed. Here's what you ordered. The steak. Like a waiter, here's what you ordered. Well, what about the blood? Is there blood on it? Of course there isn't. Quickly, Inspector, the blood man! Show the court! The blood man. Of course, examine the plate at your leisure. There's none. No! No blood! No blood anywhere! But no, that's impossible! I know I saw it, I'm sure of it. It's the wrong plate. There was a bigger chunk missing, wasn't there? Yeah, I believe you can see it from... I actually pointed it out yesterday. I thought there was something... Like, there was a bigger chunk of the steak left here than on this plate. But then again, you can't see blood on either of these, so... I don't know. Seems to me like there's more of the steak missing on this one, but well. What was that last line, by the way? Yeah, okay. What an unbecoming expression, little boy. You see, this is why I always say you can't trust what the Japanese tell you. Racists. I couldn't agree more. She is a knife and fork, only eating tiny pieces. She is a gentle woman after all. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. In the case of this disgrace to the Empire. I believe we may finally have reached a conclusion in this trial. Let's hope so. This let's pretend attempt at courtroom proceedings is painful to watch. But I do promise to do my best to forget all about it when it's over. Huh! This sorry-looking steak reveals the facts all too clearly. If the sorry-looking accused wishes to examine it again, be my guest. The plate of steak has been entered into the court record. Was the plate I saw or thought I saw just a figment of my imagination? Let me have a look at it. Is the emblem of the bull on it rotated the same way? Come to think of it. So here it's facing that way, like to the right, and here, nah, it's to the right as well. And here you can't see it. Okay, so that's not it. And the pictures are black and white, so you can't see if how much. There was clearly teeth marks on that steak. Ah, yeah, on this one, you mean? Someone's been biting into this one directly, I guess. Ah, yeah, that's a fair point. I can't tell if it's any different here, though. Well, let's examine it in bigger detail anyway. Hey! The Koban! That's what it is. The Koban from the guy at the next table. It was under the steak. How did it land here? How did it land here? What in the world is this? I think it's a Koban coin. And the hallmark is from the Hoei era, I believe. No, I don't mean what is it. I mean... what's it doing there? Wait, did you say it was a Hoei Koban? Yes, and apart from the meat juices, it looks to be in good condition. I imagine it's very valuable. A knife and fork wouldn't make rounded marks like that, only teeth would. Yeah, true. Unless she... well, yes, I mean, she would have maybe used the fork at the very least to bring the thing to her mouth. She wouldn't have just... eaten it with her fingers. But then again, yeah, I mean, if there's the Koban under it, it means that's what proves that this is the plate that was at a different table, and she swapped them or something. Apart from the meat juices, it looks to be in good condition. I imagine it's very valuable. This isn't the first time today that there's been talk of a Hoei Koban. I've heard of pearls before swine, but I've never heard of bullion and bouillon. Oh, that's a good one. I don't think he ever will again. This is extraordinary, though. This means... well, it's gonna be... I certainly never expected to find a precious coin underneath this thick cut of meat. And it's from the Hoei era, too. That would make it really quite valuable. It's well marinated in the juices as well, look. What, are you thinking of eating it? No, but the next time I order a steak in an expensive restaurant, one thing's for sure. My heart's going to be racing as I lift up the meat and peer underneath for a prize. I think you might have the wrong end of the stick about this, Ryunosuke. Koban coin underneath the steak. There is only one logical explanation. Was the plate I saw now okay? This is it now. I've lost, Ryunosuke. It's not over yet. Not until the final gavel. Never stop believing in yourself. Keep looking forward, no matter what. Believe in myself, really? Maybe I should at least examine the evidence for myself. As the evidence requested by the defense has not been shown to be problematic in any way, I presume any further examination of evidence in this trial will be unnecessary. Does the defense have any objection? That bloodstain was going to clinch the trial for me. Can this plate of steak reveal any other clues at all? We already know that. Your Excellency, please wait. This plate of beef is hiding another clue. Another clue that will reveal the shocking truth. The only thing that's shocking here is your unhealthy fascination with beef steak. Your Excellency, I think I've made myself clear, haven't I? I will not be able to turn a blind eye to any more unnecessary procrastination in this trial. Yes, come so far in the fist slamming, yep. Desk banging. I'm sorry, Miss Brett, but we must ensure a thorough examination of the evidence. I will not give a ruling until I'm completely satisfied that all reasonable doubt has been dispelled. I see. As a newly affirmed ally of my country, that's still your position, is it? Thank you, Your Excellency. Counsel for the defense, you will now clearly show to the court to what you are alluding. Huh? Ah, but come on, yeah. It should have a separate explanation if the game is aware that you've already had a look at it. What in the world is this? I think it's a Koban coin, and the hallmark is from... yeah, it's the same dialogue as before. Okay, yeah, we've been through all that. It is extraordinary, though. This means... ah, but you have to present. Kokora! Here it is. Good gracious, that's... Koban? What on earth? A Hoei Era 1 at that. Miss Brett, this is in fact the beefsteak that you ordered at the restaurant on the day in question, is it? Tell me, why is there an old coin seemingly hidden underneath the meat? What a ridiculous question. How should I know? I've never seen that thing before in my life. I don't know what this is, but I want no part of it. I fail to see how this is relevant. A coin under the meat? That could simply have been a careless mistake by the chef in a moment of distraction. Yeah, sure. It's an old antique relic of the past that just... and which also turns out to be extremely valuable and rare, that just found its way in there. Yeah, it's just in a moment of distraction. Everyone has a Koban like that in its pocket, and this one just happened to fall in the plate. Don't be absurd. We're supposed to believe that this happened by accident in the kitchen. A rare Hoei Koban just happens to be hidden underneath that piece of steak. If this turns out to be relevant to the case, I'll rip up my ticket to Great Britain right now. He's right. It can't be a coincidence. Could have been a mistake by the chef. Yeah, no doubt. Can't be a coincidence. Your Excellency. Yes, Counsel. A rare Oe Koban just happens to be hidden underneath that piece of steak. If this turns out to be irrelevant to the case, I'll give it my lawyer job right now. He has no lawyer job to give up. By all means, don't let us stop you. No one invited you anyway. Perhaps, little boy, you should realize that it is you who is irrelevant. Even though I'm the one on trial here. The point is, it's essential that we ask the owner of this coin if he can explain what it's doing under that steak. Hold on. Yes, it's obvious. There's only one person it can belong to. The owner of the Koban that was found underneath the beefsteak is this guy. Obviously, it can only be the antiques dealer and owner of Rasute, Kyuryo Korekita-san. Yeah, my cat just came in. Cutie, as in Mr. Kukumer or something. Honestly, these ridiculous Japanese names are quite unfathomable. Ah, yes. The old man who testified earlier alongside the military sergeant, correct? Yes, Your Excellency. I remember him saying that he was up to something with his Koban coin when it happened. At exactly the moment the gun was fired. The gunshot interested me not. I was far too busy on the floor. Too busy on the floor? Sorry, what were you doing? Hunting for treasure. Indeed, the Hoei era Koban, my prized coin. Then this Hoei era Koban, do you mean to tell me? No, please, why would Korekita-san's Koban be sandwiched between the victim's beefsteak and its plate? It makes no sense. Which is why I'm asking to bring Korekita-san back to the witness stand so we can ask him. Officer, bring both witnesses that testified earlier back in here. Without a moment's delay. Can't believe we've come back around to that pair again. But I have a hunch, a strong hunch, that if we chase down the real significance of this Koban, we'll find that it's a key element in the case. That's a lot of witnesses at the stand. 4 of them. What's this all about? Why have I been called up again? Don't you realize that it's dinner time for little baby Aido? When my son's belly is empty, he's fiercer than a pack of wolves. That's a very long stand indeed, yeah. Exploited by the police we were, like miserable dogs forced to bear false witness. And when cast from this courtroom myself, I became a ruined man in a trice, a worthless, withered antique. Nothing more have I to say. The sun has set on this Rasute shop owner's existence. Don't commit seppuku just yet. With that knife. Or short sword, or whatever, however it's called again. Be that as it may, Korekita-san, something has come to light that requires your clarification. As far as your Rasute memory serves, have you ever seen this? Hold on, because that line of dialogue cut the other one short. I didn't get to read the rest. Have you ever seen this Koban be... Wah! Yes, that's it, the one, the very exact one that it is. The resplendent, splendiferous hoary treasure that my rusty bones managed to misplace that fateful day. It can't be. As I thought. Young man, enlighten this decrepit old fool. Put me out of my misery. Where was my treasure? Where was it dropped? Oh, I'm not sure if it was dropped anywhere. We found your coin sandwiched between a beefsteak and its plate, soaking in the seasoned meat juices. Sandwiched? Soaking? Seriously? Clearly, it couldn't have fallen there by accident, which means somebody must have hidden it there on purpose. Somebody concealed my holy treasure between a slab of meat and a metal plate? Who would do such a thing? Such an unconscionable thing. Excuse me. Could I say something? Yes, of course. Proceed, Inspector Hosanaga. I mentioned this earlier on in the trial, but I was working undercover in the restaurant in order to investigate another case. Ah, yes, that's right. The secret undercover operation. La Carnival is a high-class Western cuisine restaurant. It attracts wealthy diners, including many foreigners. Recently, there's been a run of similarly executed thefts targeting the restaurant's rich clientele. A number of such incidents have been reported to the police bureau. Wicked crimes indeed. We wanted to nip the case in the bud quickly, especially with so many foreigners being affected. So that's why you were sent in undercover, is it? Yes, I took on the job of waiter at the restaurant in order to flush out the criminal. It seems likely that this Koban incident is the work of the same thief. So unbeknownst to us, there was a master thief at work in the restaurant on a regular basis. The place was already the scene of several crimes, it seems. I don't know about the master thief part, but the identity of the person who stole and hid Collecta-san's Koban is all too clear. What? What? I think the court would like to hear the defense's view on this matter. Tell us, who is the despicable scoundrel that stole Collecta-san's Koban and hid it under the steak? I don't know, John H. Wilson. Actually, I'm not sure who that is. At work in the restaurant on a regular basis. Or the baby? I don't remember who else had a stake, actually. I mean, she did? Do we know of anyone else who had a stake? Because I don't remember the previous testimonies. The detective said he took 2 plates of steak from the crime scene. Him? Obviously, it can only be you, Sergeant Iesanosa. Oh, how dare you, you monster! Monster? I stole that Koban, did I? I'm the master thief of La Carnival, am I? You're seriously accusing me of these crimes, cadet? But it wasn't me, it was Ido. Ido is the mastermind behind all this. I thought it might be the baby, actually. You would push the blame for your crimes onto your own son, an innocent little baby? It's you who's the monster, Sergeant Nosa. Actually, it would make sense that there would be well, actually, it only half makes sense. I was gonna say if it was the babe. Well, no, actually, does he have any teeth to have bitten into the steak? Because I was gonna say if he's a baby, he can't use a fork and knife, so maybe he was eating the steak like that. But usually, well, either babies have no teeth for one, or the parent would cut it into smaller pieces for him. So, I don't know where this is going, really. It's you who's the monster, Sergeant Nosa. Imagine blaming your infant for theft in the real world. Well, he can't go to prison, can he? Could be an act of love, you know? So that you can't be sent to prison, and you can't be separated from your child. Oh, clippity clop, clippity clop, clippity clop. He plays horsey. Does he have teeth? Babies do take things though. Yeah, they don't mean it in any bad way. Nippon Imperial Army Sergeant Yasanosa preparing to stand down in the Supreme Court, sir. The heck? Do any of you know of the extraordinarily low wages the Nippon Imperial Army pays to those it expects to keep our country safe? I understand that the temporary increase in taxation owing to the recently ended conflicts remains in place. And I have heard it's hard for lower-ranking soldiers to make a living, yes. So it really was the case then, I suppose. All I want is to put a hot meal on the table for my son. That's why you were stealing things at the restaurant? The place is heaving with money. Every 3 days I'd go there and do reconnaissance for a target. And I'd enjoy chomping my way through a good steak at the same time. It sounds like he doesn't bother with a knife and fork even, which is worryingly believable. Yeah, that ends the bite marks in the steak then. And your target that day was the old man and his koban? Yes, sir. He was an easy mark. I slipped the coin into my pocket without any trouble at all. A veritable phantom thief you are. I was all set to leave the steak. I was halfway through devouring when it happened. Bang! Yes, when the professor was shot. I knew that if the police conducted a search and found the coin in my pocket, I'd be finished. Ido too. So I hid the incriminating evidence as fast as I could, on the double. I slipped it under the steak, hoping that I'd be able to rendezvous with it again at a later date. Rendezvous with it again at a later date. Hold on a second. Hold on, I need to drink. Had something in my throat. This is ridiculous. Perhaps you could carry on with this absurd prattling in your own time? Well, Miss Brett? Oh, of course, dear lady, of course. How rude of us. I'm quite sure there's no need to detain you any longer at all. May the esteemed gentlewoman please be excused, Your Excellency? Indeed. Hey. The theft of the koban was clearly perpetrated by this baby-saddled sergeant. That's not what we're here to judge. It would certainly appear to be unrelated to Dr. Wilson's murder. Yeah, that has not been resolved yet, though. Of course it is. Hiding a coin under a lump of meat? The sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me. Nonsense it is it? Well, oof. And as for picking up your stick and biting into it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense. It's pure madness. Very well, now that all questions concerning this witness's testimony have been answered, I see no further justification for detaining her. Miss Brett, you are free to leave. Thank you, Your Excellency. Good luck, everyone. Hey, oi! And good day. Inosuke, what's the matter with you? This is no time for daydreaming. Oh, no, it's just... something about Miss Brett's parting words there got me thinking. I can't quite work out what exactly, but something she said jarred with me. I feel like there was a contradiction in there somewhere. Something didn't quite add up. Which part? As for picking up your stick and biting into it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense. It's pure madness. Yeah. Yeah, it's the... So that has something to do with the picture of the steak that was on the table, I guess. It was already swapped at that time. If that's the case, don't just stand there thinking. Make your voice heard. Sorry, you can think later, but if you don't call out now, it'll be too late. The trial will be over. Wait, Miss Brett. What is it now? I'm afraid just one last time. There's something I'd like to ask you. I'd like you to explain the contradiction in your parting words from just a few moments ago. What are you talking about? What contradiction? What new student nonsense is this? Well, what parting words are you talking about, Ryunosuke? The bit about using forks? A fork and a... no? Yeah, there we go, yeah. That's the one, yeah. Okay. It's beyond nonsense. It's pure madness. Yes, I'm right. What she said there exposed an undeniable contradiction. Okay. The picture of the steak on the table. Yeah, there we go. Okay. The photographic print of the scene taken immediately after the incident occurred? What's interesting in the plate of steak that you can see on the victim's table? The steak that Miss Brett had been eating before the professor was killed. Yes, go on. More accurately, Your Excellency. The steak that was on the victim's table just before the professor was killed. Now you're just splitting hairs. Not true. Doesn't something about this steak strike you as very unnatural? Unnatural? What on earth do you mean? It's extremely obvious. I'm talking about the shape of the edge where it's been eaten. I see you've noticed it too, Miss Brett. Noticed what exactly, Counsel? Just a few moments ago, Miss Brett claimed no Englishman could even contemplate picking up a steak and biting into it without using the knife and fork. Of course she did. She's a refined English gentlewoman herself. Then take a good look at this steak, in particular the edge where it's been eaten. As you can see, there are clearly defined barbaric teeth marks there. Ah, oh! Ah! It looks like Miss Brett has realized something. So, if the witness, as she claims, wouldn't contemplate eating anything without using a knife and fork, there shouldn't be teeth marks in the steak at all. That's not hers. But what is your actual point? Perhaps the delightful Miss Brett was ravenously hungry and couldn't help... Oh? Oh, whatever you say, dear lady. As I said, I really must be leaving now. Afternoon tea with the Minister of Justice cannot possibly wait any longer. Of course, of course. This will be all over in the blink of an eye. Rest assured, I'm about to put this rookie in his place. Just leave everything to... Shut up! I've heard enough. You irritating little spectacled samurai relic. Of course, my lady! Yeah, dear lady. That's what he says every time. What's the matter, Miss Brett? Have we ruffled your feathers? Clearly, the witness knows what this means. She's realized the catastrophic implications these teeth marks on in the steak have for her. Ryunosuke, do you know where you're going with this? Yes, now at last, it's all come together. The mysterious teeth marks in the steak that had allegedly been eaten with cutlery. The reason why the blood stain I know I saw somehow seems to have disappeared. And most importantly, the evidence that proves once and for all who shot Dr. Wilson that day. I accept that these teeth marks in the steak are a little unnatural, as you put it, Counsel. But what exactly are you suggesting that tells us? Everything, Your Excellency. Everything? Yes, I believe that these barbaric teeth marks in the steak here amount to conclusive evidence in this case. Evidence that will prove beyond any doubt who shot Dr. Wilson. Conclusive evidence? How many times have I heard that today? You wouldn't know the meaning of the phrase, typical Japanese empty threats. How can you be so sure? Oh, it's quite simple. If you really had such conclusive evidence, you would have presented it to the court long ago. Actually, the evidence I'm talking about hasn't been brought before the court yet. Hasn't been? What? But if the second plate exists somewhere out there, I guess. But just because it hasn't been shown yet, doesn't mean that the evidence does not exist. This is absurd. The trial has run several hours already, and you say there's evidence yet to be brought forward? There can't be. I don't believe you have it. I don't, but there is someone who does have it. Someone in this very courtroom. And when that person is willing to submit the piece of evidence I'm referring to, it will solve every remaining mystery about this case. What, he means the waiter? No? No? Ah, that's it. Can do it now. The answer is obvious. It's Inspector Hosonaga. What? I have it? Yes. You think I've been withholding conclusive evidence? Not knowingly! That's ridiculous. Ahem, ahem, ahem! No, I'm not saying that. Everyone's attention has been focused on this steak with the teeth marks. Yes. Now, earlier this afternoon, Sergeant Nosa told the court the following. I'd enjoyed chomping my way through a good steak, and as well as admitting to stealing Korektak-san's coin, he told us that he slipped it under the steak. You watched it, cadet. I'm a superior officer. Sergeant Nosa, could you please confirm something for me? Was the steak that you put the coin under, in fact, your own steak? Attention! Affirmative, of course. I might be a soldier in the Imperial Nippon Army, but still. I'm not brave enough to ask a foreign gentle lady if she'd mind me manhandling our meal to hide something in it. In other words, the steak that the detective submitted as evidence earlier was in fact Sergeant Nosa's meal. But that makes no sense. That plate was taken from the victim's table, yeah, so it couldn't have been swapped, no. You think that's how things work. Yet the gentlewoman doesn't take bites out of her steak, nor did she have any opportunity to steal the coin. Of course I didn't steal it. To even suggest such a thing would be an affront to the entire British Empire. Well then, how do you explain this paradox? Exactly, surely you're not going to suggest that the sergeant switched the two steaks over. Not him, but her. You did switch the plates? Well, after it happened, Oh, he did? When I saw the civilian had been murdered right in front of my eyes like that, I panicked. As I said, I immediately lifted my steak and hid the coin underneath it. But then when the waiter announced he was an undercover policeman, I thought I'd had it. If he decided to investigate my slab of meat, that'd be it. I'd be getting my marching orders. So when the cadet here was arrested and taken off to the kitchen, I seized my chance. With military precision and timing, I switched my steak with the one on the foreign lady's table. What? You can't have. I never saw you do such a thing. It was called Operation Lightning Bolt. There was no time for strategic planning. It was do or die, I tell you. So yes, I did what had to be done. Stock baby laughter.wav. However, fear not, Prosecutor-san. Such planning. What now? I swear on the brass buttons on my uniform, that is all I did, sir. All you did? That's plenty, Sergeant. So if Sergeant knows I switched the plates over, it means he took Miss Brett's steak and the plate it was on back to his own table. Yes, that follows. Inspector Hosonaga. Yes? Earlier in this trial, you told the court this. You said that you had not only taken Miss Brett's steak after the incident, but also the sergeant's. That to preserve evidence, you had taken both. Ah! Uh-oh. She's losing it. That's correct. Then please present it to the court now. The plate that was actually on the victim's table at the precise moment it was shot. What can that possibly tell us now? I mean, a cold slab of tough meat? It can't have the slightest bearing on the case. No, you're not wriggling your way out of it this time, lady. I beg your pardon? Surely you're not that forgetful. Surely you remember the reason why this steak pan promises to prove such a problem for you, no? You're the ones who decided it was a problem, not me. The reason the defense asked to see that plate was confirm something the defendant remembers seeing. Thinks he remembers. I'm quite sure of what I saw, Miss Brett. On the side of the plate that was on the table directly behind Dr. Wilson, there was a clear spattering of blood from the gunshot wound to the victim's chest. I love Kazuma's objections and fist slamming. He's an expert at it already. Yeah, there we go. There he goes again. I believe the defendant's memory serves him well. And now we have the evidence to prove it. The plate you were eating from, Miss Brett. Let us not prolong this any further. Inspector, you will show the evidence to the court. Present the beefsteak and plate that was originally on the victim's table at the time of the incident. Yes, sir! Sorry for keeping you. Here is the other steak and its plate. Please, feel free to examine it. Well, I see blood. The blood stain is clearly visible, look! Now this makes everything clear. The blood you can see on the side of the plate shows that at the moment the victim was shot, he was facing the table with his back to me. In other words, it's impossible for Naruhodo-san to have shot the victim. It can't be. In fact, there's only one person who could possibly have shot Dr. Wilson from the front. The person sitting opposite from him. I'm sure everyone knows by now who that person is. That's right, Miss Giselle Brett. It's you! Is she going to explode? What, the swan died? In these days, they would also be able to check for skin on the plate from the burn. Yeah. True. Outdone by a Japanese? Me? By a Japanese schoolboy? No. No. No! Yeah! There was a chick or what? Swanlings? The dark one? This is so over the top. Okay. Please excuse my little outburst. I briefly lost my composure. Amazing freak out. Most unbecoming behavior for an English gentlewoman. Forgive me. Well, Miss Brett, I think it's time you told the court what actually happened that day. The truth this time. Gladly, Your Excellency. It was I who took the professor's life, using Kurar. As you surmised, I chose that particular day for one very important reason. The professor had a dental appointment for the extraction of one of his teeth in the morning. So you planned to kill the professor, knowing that no trace of poison would be found in his water, because Kurar is unheard of here in Japan. Yes, of course, I never intended to remain at the restaurant for as long as I did. I only needed to see the professor take one tiny sip of his water and it would be all over. I would place the steak I had ordered in front of him to make it appear as though he had been dining alone and leave immediately. However, before any of that happened, there was an unexpected visitor at the professor's table. That would be me, I suppose. Yes, you. Who else? Such a trifling matter, but the fact that you decided to come over to greet the professor meant that I had lost my chance to slip away unnoticed. In due course, the professor took a sip of his water and was paralyzed. I made sure he was sitting in his chair such that he wouldn't fall. There was no going back at that point, so I concocted a plan on the spur of the moment. A plan to pin Dr. Wilson's murder on this innocent man. I happened to know that the professor always carried a gun. I decided to use that fact to my advantage. I had the bottle of Kurar in my handbag, and my own pistol concealed under my skirt. Under your skirt? So I was right, there were two guns. Yes. And then I finished my coffee and got up to leave. That's when I noticed the professor's gun, which you had presumably placed on the floor. Placed where you were sure that I would notice it. And everything went according to plan. You noticed the gun as I'd intended. And then, just as you bent down to pick it up, that's when you shot the professor with your own gun. Even though at that point he was already dead. Naturally, the gunshot caused a commotion, at which point the waiter appeared. Obviously, I assumed Naruhodo-san was the culprit and apprehended him. I took him to the pantry that adjoins the kitchen and locked him inside. That's when I took the opportunity to turn the professor and his chair around. Because, of course, you needed to make it look like the defendant had shot Dr. Wilson from where he'd picked the gun. So there you have it. That is the entirety of my misdemeanor. Misdemeanor? That's a pretty light way to put it. Your Excellency. Yes? I wonder. Might I speak with you in private later? No, I do really like your dress. It's very elegant. I gotta hand it to her. I shall call on you. Thank you. Good day then, everyone. I hope you can forgive me, Naruhodo-san. Okay. It would seem this trial has finally run its course. I presume the prosecution is in agreement. This can't be! Taketsushi Hauchi does not lose! Not to the likes of this rookie student! Would be interesting to see a cosplay of it. Maybe that exists? I mean, in Japan at the very least, the game has been out for quite some time, so Well, I can't find any immediately. Wait, hold on. Okay, never mind. No, there's only one post on Instagram with that hashtag, Giselle Brett, so I can't find one there either. I have such a weird love for dresses from older times. Well, they are very elegant, so I can totally understand. You'd better start getting used to tougher position. What, yes? This insult to the Ouchi family name will never be forgotten. You've become conceited with age, Council, but the old have to stand aside and make way for the new. It's the way of the world, may you never forget that. Wait. Oh, okay. Jeez. Also, they let him in with a sword. 1,000 millennia may pass, but still the Ouchi clan will never measure up to the Naruhodo clan. Yeah, because Phoenix Wright in Japanese is also a Naruhodo, so same family. This trial in the Supreme Court of Japan will, I believe, go down in history as the start of a new chapter in our country's judicial system. Despite being summoned as the accused, you, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, presented an excellent case. I thank you, Your Excellency. The use of evidence and deduction to unravel the truth is a modern methodology. After all, it has only been a few short decades since our country opened its doors to the wider world. But the Western ideas of science are rapidly gaining acceptance here. I feel sure that science will soon bring new methods of investigations and new procedures of justice. A new future of law awaits. What it will look like, I cannot begin to imagine. That is for the young to pursue. Kazuma Hasogi. Yes? After this trial, you are set to embark on a journey of discovery to the illustrious British Empire. Learn all you can. Absorb everything of the wider world that you are able to. And do not forget to fulfill the mission imposed upon you. I understand, Your Excellency. What was that about? Why do you look so grave all of a sudden? What mission? Never mind. As for you, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Oh, yes! In you I sense, how can I put it, unusual potential. I very much look forward to seeing how you carry that onwards. Thank you, Your Excellency. It is time to deliver the final verdict. I hereby find the defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Ah yes, I read something on the wikia for the game yesterday. The kanji on his fan, Aochi means guilty. That's what I read yesterday. This court is now adjourned. (2:46 p.m. 22nd of November. Supreme Court of Judicature. Defendant sent to Chamber 5. I can't believe it. I can't believe what's happened. I made it. I defended myself and made it through that horrendous trial. Ryunosuke, you finally pulled it off. Congratulations. Well, I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you, Kazuma. No, it was a pleasure to watch you at work. So, you owe me an extra large sukiyaki from the place on Yume University Street, don't forget. Good afternoon. All your hard work has certainly paid off. Congratulations to both of you for proving Naruhodo-san's innocence. Ah, our trusty judicial assistant. You worked hard for that result too, you know. Oh no, I didn't do anything. Thank you so much! If we hadn't had that research report of Miss Brett's, I don't know how things would have turned out. Your kind words should really be for my father. I was simply doing as he asked. It was his idea for me to go to the university and investigate. Your father? Ah, yes, of course. Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Susato Mikotoba, Judicial Assistant to the Defense. Speaking of Mikotoba. Ah, there you are. I believe congratulations are in order. Naruhodo, you did an excellent job. Thank you, Professor. Oh no, it is I who should be thanking you. After all, your efforts exposed the true criminal that took the life of my good friend. Good friend? Oh yes, you mentioned that before. It was you who actually invited Dr. Wilson to Yume University, wasn't it? Yes, that's right. Professor Mikotoba studied overseas himself. He went to study forensic medicine in Great Britain. Presumably that's when you met Dr. Wilson? Exactly. In those days we worked together in the same hospital. Oh, you worked together? I've never heard you mention that before. Well, it was a long time ago now. Besides. It's your turn, Asogi. Great Britain is a magnificent country. It leads the world in science, medicine, engineering, culture, and of course, in law. Watch and learn, my boy. See what's happening in the world's largest melting pot. I will. I'll learn all that I can. I swear on this, the spirit of the Asogi clan. You're not taking that sword to Great Britain, are you? Of course I am. A Japanese man's katana is his soul. This blade shows me where I need to go. And cuts down anything that's in my way. Yes, I've definitely seen how sharp it is already with my own eyes. That reminds me, what's happened to the woman? To Giselle Brett, I mean. After all, she's guilty of murder. Ah, yes, her. It's not easy to tell you this, but what do you mean? Surely she's going to face trial herself now. She's the true culprit after all. She will be leaving Japan in the very near future for Shanghai. What? Shanghai? Giselle Brett will not appear in court again in this country, I'm certain of that. What? But why not? It's a matter of consular jurisdiction. Inspector Hosonaga! It was a hard-fought battle in the courtroom today, very impressive to watch. I must congratulate... But what's this all about with consular jurisdiction? We cannot try this particular foreigner for her crimes here in Japan. What? We can't try her? But then who? Who's going to bring her to justice? A British consular court will hear a case somewhere far away where our voices can't be heard. But why a consular court? Professor, I simply don't understand. I thought consular courts were a thing of the past now that we've signed the friendship treaty. Yes, in normal circumstances, you're right. Then so long as this is not a serious incident of a highly political nature to our respective governments, they can't invoke a consular court just like that? Oh, can't they? Yes, she's a student, but it doesn't justify our governments making secret agreements about her fate, does it? Something strange is going on. So Miss Brett can't be held accountable for her actions here in Japan? I'm afraid that for the young student, today's trial was nothing more than a game all along. There was never any danger of comeuppance for her. I don't believe it. The British government's Foreign Affairs Ministry has demanded that we hand over custody of Miss Brett. They're obviously taking this case of a foreign student committing murder very seriously. But it's all going to change from now on. We can make it change. This is a time of great turmoil, this new era heralded by the start of the 20th century. One day, I have no doubt, that woman will receive the judgment she deserves. Yes, change is coming, and we're the ones driving it. Well, I think that's enough seriousness for now. This evening calls for a celebratory drink. But Professor, you're right, this is no time for gloomy faces. We should be celebrating Rinosuke's not guilty verdict. Let's start having some fun. Okay, that was the last line. In that case, might I suggest La Carnival? As the head waiter, I should be delighted to provide you with ample fruit and drink. You're a detective, Osanaga-san. Aren't you? Let's not worry about details for now. To La Carnival, will you accompany us, Professor? Of course, La Carnival's food is second to none. I shall go and attend to the paperwork for Naruhodo-san's release. Oh yes, thank you. So Giselle Brett won't be tried here. I suppose that means I'll never know. I'll never find out why she killed Dr. Watson. Kazuma? Yes, Ryunosuke? I just wanted to say thanks again, that's all. Interesting. You really saved my skin today, sorry. I didn't do a thing. You were the lawyer in there, weren't you? The defense was all your own work. Your skills made the difference, though. One day, I bet you'll be the best lawyer in the world. I'm not so sure about that. To be honest, something kept occurring to me over and over again during that trial. I couldn't help thinking that maybe you're the one destined to become a great lawyer, not me. Come on, be serious. If I helped you today, it was only right at the very start of the trial. But you have a natural talent for it, for being a defense lawyer, I mean. Oh no, not me, all that tense verbal combat. I never want to go through that ever again. I did what you told me to do, that's all, because I knew I could trust you. That's the point. Sorry? What do you mean? That's the point. Listen, Ryunosuke, do you know what the most crucial weapon is that any lawyer needs in order to win? Knowledge of the law? No, the ability to believe. To believe what? A defense lawyer has to fight for his clients. He has to believe in them at all times. Like you believed in me when I said I didn't do it. Okay. I'm human just like you. I don't have some Superman ability to know the truth. But you have to make choices about what to believe in, and stick to it when you're defending someone. Boy, struggling to read. Sometimes in the courtroom you can really be backed into a corner, but being able to remain faithful to what you chose to believe in even then, well, that's not something that anyone can do. It takes a special kind of person. Believing in your client. Just to get to this trial, I'm a student lawyer with precious little real experience, but you never stopped believing in me. Well, you faced seemingly hopeless situations time and again, but you never stopped looking for the truth. And in the end, you found it, through your own efforts. And because you never stopped believing in me. Thanks, Kazuma. There's something I want to ask you, actually, Ryunosuke. Well, it's a favor, really. Something very important to me. It sounds serious. What is... Ah, you're still here, are you? Yes. Don't say yes in that ungrateful way. Oh, Inspector Hosonaga. I've arranged some rickshaws for us. Let's go. Thank you. We'll be right there. Thank you for the follow, XX Manolia. Let's pick up this conversation again later. We should be celebrating right now. Your first court victory. And your study tour to Great Britain, don't forget. Ah, yes, that too. So my very first trial came to an end. Kazuma, Professor Mikotoba, Susato-san, who acted as my assistant, Inspector Hosonaga, who didn't really play much of a part, but still. It was because of the help and support of all these people that I managed to get through that trial. But more importantly, Kazuma hadn't yet managed to ask his favor of me. Little did I realize just how much it would change my life. The fan's debut awarded. The Adventure of the Unbreakable Speckled Band. Okay, so that would be the second one then. On board a ship. Okay, so that was the first one. There are... okay, 5 in total. Okay, start playing from the start of this episode. Yes. Hold on. I'll turn off the overlay briefly so that those subtitles are on there.
その瞬間、突然ホームズが飛び出して闇の一点をステッキで鋭く打ち据えた。見たかワトソン、ホームズの張り詰めた声が空気を震わす。私がランプの遮光板を上げると、部屋の情景がぼんやり浮かび上がった。ホームズは部屋の隅を睨みつけて、私に向かってつぶやくように言った。被害者が死の間際に言い残した。まだらの紐という謎の言葉、その恐ろしい正体こそがこいつだったのだよ、ワトソン。そこには巨大な毒蛇が牙をむき、威嚇するようにとぐろを巻いていた。それは世にも恐ろしいまだらの紐だった。
There is a Sherlock Holmes story that's called like that. No, I think. Okay, hold on. I'll just turn the overlay back on now. Fun fact for later. Ah, hold on.
犯行時、扉は内側から缶抜きがかかっていた。缶抜きに細工された痕跡はない。犯行の際、この現場は完全な密室状態だったわけだ。被害者は死の間際にメッセージを残したようだ。ここに落ちているインクを使って書いたと考えられる。ロシア語。どうやら被害者はロシア人という。文字に全く乱れは感じられない。被害者は相当意志が強かったのだ。見たことのない妙な文字だな。筆跡はこのメッセージとは明らかに違う。いや、これはむしろ人種が違うと断言してもいいかもしれない。札を貼ったのは犯行時間の直前、被害者自身だったようだな。ほう、これは一体貴様は何なんだ。好き勝手しやがって。そうです。海洋警察が到着するまで現場に手を触れず待つべきだ。その必要はない。どうやら今から5秒以内に諸君を犯人に紹介できそうだ。バカを言うな。殺人現場だぞ。しかも奇怪な密室殺人だ。それでは密室の謎、その封印を解くとしましょうか。まさかその中に犯人が。一体君は何者なのだ。僕は大英帝国が誇る世界の名探偵なのです。シャーロック・ホームズ。
You can clearly hear him say his real name in Japanese, but okay. Okay, more cutscenes or... Okay, let me turn this thing back on then. Right. Again, copyright, yeah. But then again, Sherlock Sholmes is a character that also exists in Arsène Lupin's stories. And it was a character that was already meant back in 1906 as inspired by Sherlock Holmes by Arthur Conan Doyle. So there should be a copyright on that too, technically. So, my head is throbbing. What's going on? The fun fact? Yeah? What's going on? Yeah, okay, yeah. Something's not right here. There's trouble in the air. I actually heard about that for the first time very recently. Not when researching this game, but there was a TV show, The New Adventures of Arsène Lupin, that was airing on TV here. They started re-airing this show recently here. So, and then the guy who plays Sherlock Sholmes in that TV show is a guy that I know from other movies. He's a... Don't know if you've ever watched Snatch, for example, by Guy Ritchie. He plays Boris the Blade or Bulletproof Boris in that film. He's the same actor. Rade, I can't remember his name now. Actually, he's not Russian, but he's from an Eastern country. Anyway. The writer couldn't get permission to use Sherlock Holmes, so in order to get past it, Sherlock Holmes, but apparently they still got sued for it. Ah, okay. Right. Wait, I can't move. Ah, what the? Why am I in handcuffs? So you wake up now, We had to drag you out of the wardrobe. I do not believe how you could not wake up. You are a true cold-blooded man. Cold-blooded man. You found me then. Da, we found you. And now you pay. Criminal with a K. How long are you hiding in that tiny wardrobe, sorry. Now you have been found. It is time to admit your crimes. Unless you want to find out how cold the ocean is, No, I'll tell you everything. There's only one thing I'd like to know from you. Isn't that... Why did you do it? Why did you take his life? Mr. Sato. Wait, what did you just say? Take his life? Oh no, here we go again. Where is he? Where's Kazuma? Ha, you pretend you do not know. You are a wolf in the sheep's pelt. You are the killer. Do not try to make excuses. So Sherlock Sholmes and John H. Wilson is all a reference to that Arsène Lupin versus Sherlock Sholmes. Ah, but the Wilson one, I did not know that was also from that story. Now, that I did not know. The first one, yes, but the Wilson-Watson thing, that I did not know. You are the killer. Do not try to make excuses. What? Kazuma-sama's body was discovered not long ago. Here, in this very cabin that was bolted shut from the inside. His body? Please, do not try to tell us you were doing this terrible thing in your sleep. Kazuma is dead? But he can't be. And these handcuffs. Surely you don't think I have to know, why did you take Kazuma-sama's life? Answer me, please! No. No! No, That requires a more Darth Vader flair to it. No! Kazuma, it was just 2 short weeks ago. Are you sure about this? Won't we get in trouble? Don't you find it fun being a stowaway? Besides, how else could you come to England with me to study? It was really something else when they brought your luggage in here earlier, though. The way that Russian crewman just tossed your traveling case onto the floor. I thought I was going to die. Yes, I still can't quite believe that. I really didn't think you'd be able to fit inside my trunk. You must be even less of a man than you look. Hey, honestly, I thought I'd broken every bone in my body. Well, it's about 50 days until we dock in Great Britain. But if you confine yourself to my cabin here, I don't expect anyone will discover you. I hope not. I get the feeling those Russians wouldn't be very forgiving of a stowaway. They're a sturdy bunch, that's for sure. What I want to know is, why do we need to keep it a secret from the young lady? From our faithful judicial assistant Mikotoba, you mean? From your close friend, more to the point. Surely we could confide in her, couldn't we? I don't believe she'd give me away. No, but if she knew what we'd done, that would make her guilty by association. It's best that only you and I know about this. Well, now, not so much. I suppose so. Anyway, it's about the time that the steward is supposed to come and clean the cabin. I know it's cramped, but you'd better get in there, I think. It won't be for long. And anyway, compared to hiding inside my traveling case, it'll be a breeze. Yes, but what if the steward decides to open the wardrobe for some reason? Then I'll be in for it. Stop worrying. I'll tell you what, why don't you write "keep out" or something on this piece of paper? What? Then I can stick it over the wardrobe doors once you're inside. I don't know. You would have written it in Japanese then. We've only been at sea for about 15 days. How can this have happened? We're supposed to be going on this adventure to England together. Yeah, they had to kill someone close to the main character, right? Mia in the first one, and Kazuma in this one, I guess. We leave you at next port. Stay quiet until then. Don't make more trouble for yourself. Murderer? No, I'm not a murderer. Ah, you said before. You said you admit everything about your crimes. No, that's not right. I mean, yes, I did stow away on this ship, but murdering my best friend? No one else could have done it. Admit the truth. Susato-san. Please, tell me what happened. I need to know. Very well. But there is something I would like to ask of you too. Ah, those eyes. She looks like she's ready to destroy me. This nightmare is getting worse by the minute. I suppose all I can do is try to find out what really happened. He really has been killed, hasn't he? This isn't just a bad dream. And these handcuffs. They think I did it? They think I'm Kazuma's killer? When they found him, the cabin was locked from the inside. What do you mean? There's no access to the cabin via a porthole window, and the bolt on the door can't be opened operated from the outside. I thought I just saw a grate just above the wardrobe just now. Like a ventilation hole or something, no? In other words, after the crime, the culprit couldn't have escaped these 4 walls. What? Yeah, there you go. You have it right there. That looks like ventilation or something. Or to put it another way, the culprit can only have been somebody inside this cabin. Or do you have some other explanation? This is impossible. How did he die then? What happened exactly? Are you still going to deny the charge, even despite the circumstances? Please, Sato-san, you have to tell me. The cause of death is still undetermined. They don't know how he died. The ship's doctor is examining the body, but of course he has no post-mortem analysis experience. I don't suppose we shall learn more until an expert has been consulted at our next port of call. So presumably that means there were no obvious external signs of injury then. That's true, yes. Can't anyone tell me what actually happened here in this cabin? I don't understand it. Why would anyone want to kill Kazuma? Presumably that's something you know the answer to better than anyone. Please, whatever you say, you were here in the cabin after all. Well, yes I was, but... He would always wake before dawn and do his training first thing in the morning. I was waiting outside his cabin as I have every day so far on this voyage, but this morning he did not come. I could sense that he wouldn't. Does that mean he was already dead when Susato-san arrived at his cabin door, I wonder? I knocked, but there was no reply. Then I started to become worried, so I went to find the member of the crew. The crewman forced the cabin door open, and when we managed to get inside... What does that say, actually? Arderov? Arderub? Yeah, I think that's sort of what it says. There was Kazuma-sama collapsed on the floor. And the white tape there now shows exactly where he was found, I suppose. I had no idea anything had happened. I must have been asleep in the wardrobe somehow. I wish it wasn't the case, but that's just very hard to believe. This is all very hard to believe for me too, trust me. Now I've told you everything that I know. So it's my turn to ask you a question. Wardrobe is what he is what he wrote on the floor. But with Cyrillic characters. Yeah, wardrobe that would have been. Yes, alright. My head feels so heavy. It's still throbbing like anything. Yeah, and I guess if the guy speaks the language, he would have been able to make out what was written, and that's why they looked in the wardrobe in the first place. Maybe. Why are you even on board this ship, Naruhodo-san? You said something before about being a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, yes, I'm afraid that's true. It's 2 weeks since we left Japan now, and I've been shut up in this cabin the entire time. I had no idea, but how could you have occupied Kazuma-sama's cabin for so long without him noticing? No, that would have been impossible, obviously. Yes, of course. Kazuma invited me. He wanted us to go to England together. He actually asked you? But why? I'm afraid I don't really know the reason myself. I don't understand. Yeah, why? Why Russian? Unless it wasn't him who wrote it, but someone who could only write Russian. That would make more sense, I suppose. Actually, come to think of it, I think there is something like that in an episode of Sherlock, the BBC TV show. There was something like that, I think. But I can't remember if the episode had exactly the same title. Hold on a minute. There aren't that many episodes of Sherlock, so which one would that have been? If I just look at the list of the episodes, I can probably make it out. No, that's not the Great Game. A Scandal in Belgravia, maybe. No, that wouldn't be the one. No, I won't be able to tell. Never mind. But I think there is something similar in an episode of Sherlock anyway. Kazuma, why do you want this? What's the real reason? Why go to such extreme lengths to smuggle me to England with you? Careful, you could possibly spoil yourself, yeah? Kind of. It's an idea that's been on my mind ever since the end of that incredible trial. I think I told you then, didn't I? That you ought to become a lawyer yourself. Well, yes, you did say that, but I didn't think you were serious. You have a talent for it, I can assure you of that. But I've never really thought about becoming a lawyer. Well, that's something you can decide for yourself. London is at the spearhead of cultural development, the center of the world in many ways. There can't be any harm in seeing such an important place with your own eyes, can there? Well, no, definitely not. But on a personal level, if you were to become a lawyer, then what? Nothing. Forget it. Kazuma-sama he was always saying the same thing, that he wanted to change the Japanese legal system. Perhaps he thought that he could do that with you. Yes, maybe, but something's still bothering me a little. The look in his eyes then, it was darker than I've ever seen it before. Sasato-san, I'm sorry that we kept it a secret from you, my stowing away on this ship, I mean. If I know Kazuma-sama, I expect he was trying to protect me, to avoid me becoming guilty by association. That's exactly right, yes, word perfect in fact. If you're not the culprit, then tell me, what happened last night here in this cabin? Well, the thing is, I don't really remember. Kazuma brought me something to eat just like he always did. And then I got myself into that wardrobe over there just like I always did. After that, I fell asleep. Well, yes. So deeply that you didn't even stir when Kazuma-sama was killed? Well, yes. I know it sounds unbelievable, really, I do, but it's the truth. If only I'd woken up, then perhaps I wouldn't be in this predicament. And for some reason, my head's still throbbing like anything. He was put to sleep. Maybe. Like a gas or something? Really? Is something wrong? Oh, no, it's... Please forget it. Susato-san, you have to believe me, I didn't do it! I really don't want to doubt you. But the trouble is, there is no one else who could possibly have done this. Ah, look over the wardrobe there. There's a hole in the wall. Kazuma, I don't understand. Why? Why did this have to happen? Ah, I can't take this. Don't try to go anywhere. You're the perpetrator of this crime. You can't leave. I can't allow that to happen. I'm sorry, but Kazuma was killed right under my nose here, and I didn't do anything to stop it, and now I'm supposed to just sit around? My hands tied, while whoever did this walks free? No, I can't allow that to happen. Well, what do you propose to do then? I'm going to investigate. I'm going to find out exactly what happened here. I'm going to work out who took Kazuma's life, and how and why they did it. So, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to excuse me. Hiya! What's that? What the heck? What the? That was a Susato takedown. Susato what? What martial art form is that? I'm going to need you to prove it. Sorry, prove it? Yes, your innocence. I need evidence. But how am I supposed to? Have you forgotten already? What you achieved just a few weeks ago? You successfully defended yourself in a court of law. Ah, I see. She's expecting me to present some conclusive evidence. I have to get Susato-san to believe me. I'll show her some evidence right now that proves I'm not guilty of this awful crime. Kazuma would stick this over the doors of the wardrobe for me. It says keep out in Japanese, though I'm not sure the Russian crew can actually read it. Akeruna, I think it says. This is the paper seal I wrote for the wardrobe. I remember really working hard to make it, but I'll never forget how Kazuma reacted. Do you expect the Russian crew to be able to read that? He said. Still, I was sure people would get the idea, even if they couldn't read it, so we used it anyway. And it worked. I don't know if the crew thought it was creepy or what, but no one opened the doors. Kazuma would stick this over the doors, blah 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 blah. Would present this. Tell me, when I was discovered in the wardrobe before, was this piece of paper stuck over the doors? Oh, yes it was. I remember clearly. I thought so. Kazuma always put it in place whenever I went to sleep in there, just in case the cabin steward or another crew member decided to look inside. So naturally, it did the same last night as well. Ah, yes, of course. The gentleman who discovered you peeled that sign from the wardrobe doors before he opened them. But if I were truly the culprit, I couldn't have climbed back inside the wardrobe and stuck this on the outside of the doors on my own. Yes, that's quite true. In other words, it's impossible that I killed Kazuma. Well, even if you are sprawled hopelessly on the floor, I can't see why Kazuma-sama thought so highly of you. Thank you, Susato-san. Now, do you think perhaps you could help me up? Well, in the light of that evidence, I don't see any reason why I should stop you from investigating it in here, at least. Thank you, so you finally believe me. I'm sorry, no. What? I'm not sure yet. I can't rule out the possibility that you used some sort of conjuring trick to put the sign back in position. Or does she think I am a magician? For now, I suggest you investigate as thoroughly as possible in here. I'll do the same. Alright, let's get to work, Susato-san. Please, don't misunderstand me. I still have my doubts. Oh. I shall be watching you to make sure you do nothing that might disturb the crime scene. I wouldn't want you using your conjuring tricks to destroy evidence, for example. Right. Well, anyway, I should make a start on investigating in here. Examine everything I can. Kazuma, I swear, I will avenge your death. Well, I'll save at the very least everything that's happened up until now. Hey, this guy is here. Did Kazuma write that before he died? It looks like it's written in ink. He must have knocked the ink pot from the desk when he collapsed on the floor. I think it reads wardrobe. The E in the middle seems out of place if it was just the English word spelled with Cyrillic characters. Then I suppose he wrote this message by dipping his finger in the spillage. Poor Kazuma-sama. No doubt he was in terrible pain. It's almost unbearable to imagine it. I suppose he was trying to leave some kind of a clue in his final moments, was he? I'm sorry, partner, but I can't read your writing. I don't think that's Japanese, Naruhodo-san. What? Then, what language is it? It pains me to admit it, but I don't know. It's not a foreign script I'm familiar with. What does it mean, I wonder? It being Cyrillic could mean anything, really, because Cyrillic is used in many different languages, and Cyrillic varies between those languages also. Oh dear, that won't do. Oh, what's the matter, Susato-san? Whenever I'm examining things, I always find myself so focused I forget to look around properly. Ah yes, that's not good. I don't suppose you're as foolish as me in that regard, are you, Naruhodo-san? I'm sure you're careful to look around using the D-pad, aren't you? Now let's investigate all corners of this cabin. Yes, let's do that. I suppose my field of vision has been rather small until now. It's this thing here that interests me. Up there. I think that's some kind of opening for a ventilator. A hole through which fresh air can circulate into the cabin. Oh, again? No, I don't want to be famous. Jeez. A hole through which fresh air can circulate into the cabin. Isn't that a little odd? What do you mean? Well, this ventilator, if that's what it is, looks like it must connect to the next door cabin. Yes, it would appear to. You're right. But if its purpose is to allow fresh air into the room, surely it should be connected to the outside. That's true. Perhaps it's so that rain and spray don't find their way in when the seas are rough or something like that. I suppose maybe that's it. Yeah, but to me that means... Oh, that's cool, by the way. I didn't know this until now because this is the first time that I get to investigate something. But there is a little tick right next to it when I hover the cursor above it to tell me that I've already examined this. Probably to tell you that examining it again will not yield any new information. Yeah, the text seems to be all the same. That's pretty cool. And what about this? What's this exactly? Ah, yeah, the bell cord, yeah, so that you can call for the room service or whatever. I don't know if they have that on ships, but this is... Yes, it's a bell cord contraption, I think. What do you mean, contraption? I read about it in a book I was studying that talked about life in Great Britain. Large households often have bell cords like this, which you can pull to ring a bell to summon servants. Yeah, there we go. Really, that sounds almost magical. Shall we give it a little try? Yes! In the interests of cultural research, obviously. I suppose nobody comes from for lowly Japanese people. No, I'm sure it's just that everyone is busy, that's all. It's some 2 weeks since we set sail from Japan. Have you really been living in that wardrobe the entire time, Naruhodo-san? Well, only when he wasn't around, I guess, because he had to come out to eat. I think living isn't quite the right description. For science, yeah. Oh, no, I suppose not. Although it must have been rather exciting making this voyage in your own secret hideout. The trouble was, I never knew when a member of crew might come in. So, yes, I did basically have to live in the wardrobe. And last night was no exception. But because of that, you had no idea what was happening out here in the cabin. No, sadly not. The bed? I've investigated thoroughly, but I can't find anything out of place. Ah, yeah, the cursor changes appearance when there's something to examine. Okay, the desk. This is where dear Kazuma-sama would have sat whenever he was writing. London Diary, poor Kazuma. He didn't even make it to his destination. It looks as though the last entry is incomplete. Which means... What, he was in the middle of writing when the incident happened? Let's see what it says. It could be a valuable clue. Hiya! That's out of the question. Or, Kazuma-sama may have departed this world, but you must not read his private thoughts. But what if it's something important, something relevant to the case? Alright, I won't read it. Poor Kazuma-sama. I don't like prying into people's personal matters either, but in this case, isn't the need for clues more important? What's he doing here now? Who's that? He wasn't there a minute ago. As far as I can tell, it looks like he might be European. Because all Europeans dress like that, I guess. How did he... You've noticed the man too, have you? I've no idea who he is or how he got in here, but he looks suspicious and tall. Suspiciously tall. Naruhodo-san, don't tell me. Do you really not know who that is? Well, no. I don't have any foreign friends or acquaintances at all. He doesn't look like a member of the crew. There's something very unusual about him. And is he investigating Kazuma's desk, or is he just playing on it? I can't tell. Tall people can't be trusted. Well, in that case, we simply must talk with him. Am I just imagining it, or does Susato-san look almost uncontrollably excited? By the way, I expect that you've noticed already, but just in case, if you press A on people when they're in the crosshairs, you can converse with them. Alright then, I'll get that suspiciously tall gentleman in my sights and see what he has to say for himself. Shouldn't I finish inspecting the rest of the room first, though? Oh, please do. That's a very large traveling case, isn't it? Yes, it carries a lot of memories for me. Memories? What do you mean? Well, that's actually how I was stowed away on this vessel. I was brought on board inside this case. Ah, yes, I see it says this way up in Japanese. Which in hindsight, I should have realized the foreign crewman wouldn't be able to read. It was turned over and over and over, and then I was tossed on the floor in here. Oh dear, being a stowaway isn't as romantic as it sounds. Well, it was less painful than a Susato takedown. Okay, if you try to look at the silhouette, it's the same thing. Okay, what's this? Looks like part of a bell. What do you think this is? It looks like a broken piece of glassware. Whatever the thing was, it appears to have broken clean in two. The glass is such a beautiful color. It looks like a cute little netsuke fastener from a kimono outfit. I'm not sure that sounds like Kazuma. He wouldn't have secretly carried a cute little trinket like this around with him, would he? And the mark beside it. What is it, I wonder? It has a sort of brick-like hue. Yes, you're right. It is the color of brick, isn't it? Even though I don't see anything of the same color anywhere else in the cabin. The books have fallen over on the shelf. Look, they've all toppled the same way. And what's this? A statue of some god of the sea? Although he's fallen over as well. Yes, it's almost as if the whole shelf has been ransacked and everything mown down at once. I wonder if... perhaps it was Kazuma-sama doing his morning sword training, do you think? I seriously doubt it. Then perhaps... it was you, Naruhodo-san, in a fit of rage. I wouldn't have bothered leaving the wardrobe just to mess up a few books and a statue. Could the way these things have been thrown about have anything to do with the case, I wonder? Well, I'll just set everything straight again. I don't like to see a mess. These are the rules of passage for travel aboard the SS Buria. Vнимание. This is what is written in Cyrillic. These are the rules of passage for travel aboard the SS Buria. It's essentially a list of requests from the captain to all passengers on board. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. What? Why are you staring at me? Oh, sorry, I was just thinking. Are you more of a dangerous object or a pet? I can't decide. Well, one thing's for sure. Either way, I wasn't supposed to be in here. Well, there is a dangerous object. katana. Perhaps I should see what this Russian crewman makes of the scene of the crime. Excuse me. It's the sword I wanted to look at. I was wondering how it's going, the investigation, I mean. There is no investigation going. They're sure they have the culprit, so they're not investigating anything, I think. Grandmother told me Japanese people do not make jokes, but it's not true, I see. Sorry, the criminal asking investigator for information about his crime. Very funny. Oh, it wasn't supposed to be a joke. He doesn't appear to be laughing either. He's convinced you're guilty. You might have useful information, though. I have to keep trying. So, last night, did you notice anything out of the ordinary at all? Yet. Of course not. Now back to corner of room and make silent. I say no more to you. Did I hit a nerve? Just for a minute there, he seemed a little flustered. Seigi, Japanese word for justice. The brush strokes are straight and true, just like Kazuma. Yes, his calligraphy always was a reflection of his heart. Yet can you really look at those characters without feeling shame knowing who drew them so thoughtfully? Of course I can. I mean, I'm innocent, so why shouldn't I be able to? Even though you stowed away on this ship? Now you're going to bring that up, are you? I can't win. That's my dinner from last night, a roast chicken. It was really tasty. Yes, it was very delicious, wasn't it? But, did you eat it on the floor here? I'm not a dog, Susato-san. I ate at the table, of course. Which begs the question of when and how the plate ended up on the floor. But Kazuma-sama didn't like chicken at all, did he? No, that's right. So he didn't touch it. Which meant all the more for me. Oh no! Does that mean poor Kazuma-sama spent his last night on this earth with an empty belly? It's just too horrible. Now I suddenly have a guilty conscience and an achy stomach. A knife? Well, the knife goes with the plate, I guess. That's Kazuma-sama's precious sword. He never went anywhere without it. Yes, he was always saying that the Japanese man's katana is his soul. I believe he had to work very hard to convince the government to allow him to bring it on this trip. I suppose that shows just how important it was to him. And now he's gone, but I'm not ready to let his spirit go just yet. There's nothing on this table at all. The plate and cutlery are all over the floor for some reason. Yes, it's strange. Last night when I went to sleep, I'm sure everything was still. No, wait a minute. What is it? That's funny. I can't seem to remember anything about what happened after dinner at all. So then perhaps you are responsible for what happened to Kazuma-sama. No. Well, that seems to be everything. So shall we talk to Sherlock Holmes? Excuse me? Excuse me, do you have a moment? Shh! This is a critical point in my investigation. Maybe I should leave him alone. He seems a little unfriendly. Yes, perhaps that would be for the best. Greetings! I hope I haven't kept you long. Ah! You can just call him Sherlock Holmes, can't you? Yeah, I guess. Sherlock Holmes does not roll off the tongue quite as well. Hey, Brad Gamely. Hello. How's it going? What exactly were you doing on Kazuma's desk just now? I see. Fascinating. Sorry. What do you see? It feels like he's looking right through me. Yes, I do remember you. Oh yes, everything is clear now. The train of reasoning has run its course. My deductions have crystallized. You have been in Afghanistan, I perceive. Just recently returned, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry? What? And now, whilst venturing toward foreign climes, you find yourself in a most troubling predicament. Oh, well, that's true at least. But how? How the deuce did I know that? Perhaps, how the deuce? It was really a most elementary deduction, hardly worth explaining. This guy is great, just you wait and see. He is one of my favorite characters so far. Well, I was sort of spoiled hearing that he is a goof, and not at all smart like the real Sherlock Holmes, which makes him perfect if that's the case, but we'll see anyway. It was really a most elementary deduction, hardly worth explaining. Have you perhaps managed to deduce anything else? But of course, a great many things. There is no mystery, my dear madam. For example, now it's by accident. I was reading up something about the change of name about the character, and there was this description of the character in it. So it's me not being able to stay away from information about the game quite as much as probably I should have. Yeah, I spoiled myself. You have fled your native land of Russia, being, as you are, a merciless revolutionary. I love this game, it's so fun. I prefer the fourth case and up and all of the second game, and your spoiler is false. Yeah, well. You leave 16 victims of assassinations in your wake and now travel to England to blow up the Crystal Tower. And when the buribond occupant of this very cabin discovered your identity, you ended his life too. Yes, I believe that summarizes the facts beautifully. No need to hide the truth now. Nothing deceives these eyes. Yeah, I know also that that is not all, yeah. But now maybe other people will have been spoiled because of that. I know he's doing it on purpose. But that doesn't change the fact that he is a funny character, though. Just to be clear, you are talking about me, are you? Certainly I am. Do you see another in this cabin who fits the bill? A Russian assassin with 16 victims to his name. I don't even see one person who fits the bill. So it's true. It was you who did this to Kazuma-sama. What? And you're plotting a revolution, too. It's shameful behavior, Naruhodo-san. Absolutely wicked. No, listen, there's no way Okay. Jeez. Now explain yourself. Tell me everything. This is ridiculous. Should stop believing anything this guy says. How could you do it? For pity's sake, open your eyes. I'm not a Russian revolutionary, obviously. Oh, forgive me. And as for you, what kind of deduction was that? You were just saying the first thing that came into your head. Ha, but was I not right? Whilst venturing toward foreign climes, you do find yourself in a most troubling predicament, do you not? You are met with a terrible fate, aren't you? Well, yes, maybe. Ha! There you have it, you see? What do you make of that, Well, to be honest, the ship is en route to England, and I'm in handcuffs at the scene of a murder, so I'm not really sure you could call it deduction, it's more plain observation. Indeed, an observation, my dear boy, is the basis of all deduction. My method is founded upon the observation of trifles, you see. I announce my findings with a brassy certitude. He is literally doing the throw it at the wall and see if it sticks. Yeah, exactly. And more often than not, I'm right. I don't think you introduced yourself. My apologies. How remiss of me. I am none other than the greatest detective of the century, known to men and women the world over. The inimitable Sherlock Holmes. True of all the cases, the fourth or fifth case, not sure which one it is of the second game is my favorite. Well, I'll see about that when I get to it. So it's really you, the actual Sherlock Holmes. The very same. The inimitable, actual... Or Sherlock Holmes, I guess. Do you know this man, Sada-san? I bet she's a fan. The most famous detective in the world? Naruhodo-san, of course I do. There's nobody who hasn't heard of him. What planet have I been living on, then? Must ask him what he's deduced. He would have worked out the entire case already, I'm sure. Really? Why do I feel uneasy about this? If you present your badge like in the other games, can you yield funny responses? Mr. Holmes, what do you make of this? Shh, quiet. When I'm ruminating in the course of my deductions, nothing must disturb my mind. Oh, so sorry. Ah, an Indian curry, perhaps. What's he ruminating about? The lunch menu? I've never seen anything like this. Most extraordinary writing. Akeruda! You said the same earlier this morning, I think. Indeed, but its uncommonness is so remarkable I felt the need to say it anew. Yes, I do believe these characters may be a crude attempt at a Japanese script. What? Mr. Naruhodo, I don't like to be the one to tell you this, but I think Mr. Holmes is trying to say that your handwriting is a little untidy. Is he making fun of me? Okay, let's converse. Great detective. So, you're a great detective, are you? Sorry, what was your name again? Indeed, I am none other than the one and only Sherlock Holmes. Oh, I see. You're German? Herlock, was it? Hairlock? No, I have no hair. I mean, I have hair. Please, call me Holmes. You can read all about my exploits in this exciting London publication. The Ranst magazine. Okay. Oh yes, Ranst magazine. Full of wonderful short stories and interest articles from Great Britain. I never miss an issue. I have it sent from England especially. Ah yes, here it is. The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. So, you're the protagonist in a series of short stories then? Indeed I am. And you've read so many of your own stories, you've started to think you really are a detective. Make no mistake, I'm not the poor deluded fellow you take me for. Your inference is backward. Backward? My trusty biographer records my greatest detecting achievements and chronicles them in the magazine. You have a biographer? Do you? Do you? Doesn't everyone? Mine goes by the name of Dr. Wilson, presently keeping shop in London. I hate to break it to you, but he's dead. Dr. Wilson? I must say, thanks to that publication, I have been fantastically busy of late. Why, this very moment I am returning from Asia, having solved the mystery of a cursed royal crown. Really, I can't work out whether I should take this man seriously or not. Deduction, you see, is to me a science, logical reasoning in its purest form. A science? Really? The astute observer notices even the most subtle of reactions in his subject. A furtive glance, a twitch of a muscle, a slight inclination of the posture. Fingernails, arm sleeves, furrows in the skin. All these things are data. Right. And the trained logician makes deductions from this data in the blink of an eye. The ultimate conclusion is, without fail, the truth. As I demonstrated only a few short moments ago. How can you look me in the eye and claim that? So you see, I have a turn both for observation and for deduction, and fame. That is what makes me the one and only Herlock Sholmes. Have you managed to deduce anything about this particular case yet? Have I managed to deduce anything, my dear fellow? Who do you suppose discovered the culprit in his most cunning hiding place? That's right. It was none other than the great detective before you now, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. I see. In other words, I'm in these now because of him. When I became anxious about Kazuma-sama this morning, I summoned all of the crew members to force the cabin door open. And I concealed myself among their number, gaining entry to the scene of the crime. Yes, luckily for everyone, the great detective Herlock Sholmes was on board. And the handcuffs seemed to be an excellent fit, Mr. Naruhodo. Arg! The very moment I laid eyes on the scene, 2 facts were immediately apparent to me. Oh, really? 2 facts, you say? Mr. Sholmes, tell us please, what 2 facts were apparent to you when you came into this cabin this morning? Ah, yes, but first, let us be precise. The 2 facts in question were immediately apparent to me. Yes, I understand. But what were they? Allow me to elucidate. The 2 facts that I deduced from a mere momentary glance at the scene of the crime were as follows. Number 1, the cabin was locked from within, rendering escape of the culprit out of the question. Number 2, the victim was Russian and killed following a dispute with an acquaintance. Hold on, Mr. Sholmes, what made you think the victim was Russian? Observe the dying message left by the victim on the floor. That is the Russian word for wardrobe. Ah, well, I read it right then. But that's really how it's said in Russian? Because it sounds close to English, and usually because it's a Slavic language, the words don't sound as close to English words as they do in this case. Do you really think Kazuma-sama could have left a dying message in Russian? In their final moments, many find their native tongue filling their head. For this young man, Russian. Kazuma was Russian, was he? Initially, I considered garderobe may be the name of the killer, a certain... Ah, it's a G sound. Ah, that comes from French then. Because they do have a few words that come from French and Russian that were borrowed from French. Like the word for floor, étage, in Russian. A certain Robert Guard, perhaps, or a jacket for a coat. Well, I guess you say jacket in English as well, but in the interests of thoroughness, I decided it would be wrong not to look inside the wardrobe there at least, where you found Mr. Naruhodo sleeping soundly. Quite so, I found you, the renowned Russian revolutionary killer. Why is it that I'm Russian too? I observed that you were wearing the same attire as the victim. In other words, you were acquainted. And if my memory serves, that outfit is the traditional dress of the Russian people. Our school uniforms are the traditional dress of the Russian people? I had no idea. Languages steal words from each other. But that was particularly true around the time of the French Revolution. They did try to westernize themselves at a certain point in time. And they borrowed words from foreign languages at that time. And I had no idea a detective could get something so wrong. I took a photograph of the victim and the message that I might analyze it for possible hidden details. This was taken immediately after the young man was discovered, before the body was removed. Yes, Kazuma had already been taken away when I woke up. This is the first time I've actually seen him like this. Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, yes, thank you. The photograph of the crime scene has been entered into the court record. Can I ask you something, Mr. Sholmes? What, pray? You mentioned Russia before as well, didn't you? You know, when you said I was a fearsome revolutionary fleeing from Russia and all that. Ah, yes, the train of reasoning that led me to the truth. Would you mind explaining that train of reasoning to me, do you think? Kone... Konation... I can't read Cyrillic perfectly, so I'm not quite sure what it says here. Certainly, if it interests you. How many times? I'm not Russian, and I don't speak Russian. Your deduction just now. Can we talk about your deduction before? The things you concluded about me, I mean. Ah, the now famously accurate, troubling predicament you find yourself in. Actually, it was the other details that I was more hoping to discuss. You know the merciless Russian revolutionary and assassin of 16 part? Ah, yes, the more sordid details. It was a fairly commonplace deduction. Here we have this morning's paper. The main headline reads: Revolutionary villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. This vessel made a port call at Shanghai yesterday, and last night the young Russian was murdered. Since when was Kazuma Russian? It sounds like Mr. Sholmes has concluded he was Russian before because of what Kazuma-sama wrote on the floor. It was a simple act of reasoning to realize that the culprit of this crime was the same merciless revolutionary, one who would kill the very man who helped him to escape after his true identity was discovered. Yes, you, villain Bolshevik! No, how could it be me? I don't look anything like this man, just look at his face! Well, you are a fearsome revolutionary after all. Therefore, you have no doubt learned to revolutionize your appearance as well. Please. And I might add, your name does not appear on the ship's passenger list. Need I say more? Well, that's because I'm a stowaway. What about the other details? The 16 victims of the assassination and blowing up the Crystal Tower. Ah, yes, the journalist clearly interviewed the man and printed all those particulars in the article. The deeds the man has perpetrated thus far and those he is plotting. Yes, everything about this revolutionary Bolshevik was included. There can be no mistake. Do revolutionaries usually agree to interviews with newspaper reporters, I wonder? And what about the part where you said I was just returning from Afghanistan? Also quite clearly stated here in the article. Bolshevik is recently returned after a period of subversive activities in the war-torn region of Afghanistan. Where even is it anyway? This Afghanistan place. Here, take the paper for yourself, as a little memento of this great deduction. Oh, thank you. I have absorbed all that is of interest to me within its pages, but I see no rubbish bin nearby. The article about the revolutionary has been entered into the court record. And you may find the article on the back page of interest as well. On the back? Cast your eye over it sometime if the interest takes you, though you may need someone to interpret. It's all written in Russian. I couldn't hope to read it, but I suppose it wouldn't hurt just to glance at the article. Maybe there might be a picture or two. Pronaja is prima dalslin. Okay. Sometimes I can pick up a few words of Russian, but I can't understand the whole language, though. But well, I can look at the picture, though. Hold on. This is interesting. Have you found something relevant? Naruhodo-san. Well, no, I mean, it looks like it might be interesting. I can't read a single word, I'm afraid. No, nor can I, but look at this picture. Perhaps it's about a beautiful young Russian princess, you think? She is very pretty, isn't she? I suppose you enjoy articles like this, do you? I don't know. I can't make any sense of it. Ah, I'm glad you've noticed this article. Allow me to give you a short summary of its contents. Oh, thank you. He pops up everywhere, this Mr. Sholmes. It's about the disappearance of a young lady last night. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novavich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. The prima ballerina. That was the last few words at the end of the title. During a performance in Shanghai, the famous dancer was reported missing. She is, of course, the talented young Nikolina Pavlova. Why are Russian names so hard to remember? It would appear the woman was in costume when she was found to be missing from her dressing room, wearing the diamond tiara you see pictured, which is worth some 20,000 rubles. Oh, how much is 20,000 rubles? I have no idea, but I'm quite sure it must be an unbelievable sum of money. Actually, nowadays it wouldn't be worth much, but Susato-san's eyes are shining like diamonds themselves. The tiara is the property of the Novavich Ballet. It would seem the director is beside herself with worry. Yes, I'm not surprised. The company is most anxious to recover both Miss Pavlova and the valuable tiara. They've requested international assistance at all ports with sailings to Great Britain. Could this be another case of a Russian fleeing his or her country? It does seem to be the Russian thing to do. Actually, at the Olympics, just like when was it? Yesterday, as of the recording of this, or the day before. Well, she was not Russian. She was from Belarus, but there was one of the athletes who said some bad stuff about the government of their country or something like that. And she was to be deported back to her country and to be put in jail back in her own country. So she found refuge at the Polish embassy or something. And she landed in Poland today, where she will be given shelter. How do you say? Well, I don't know how to say it in English, but she will be protected from going to prison in her own country because of that. It's still kind of the thing to do in countries in that region, I suppose. It does seem to be the Russian thing to do. I'm not even going to dignify that with a response, Mr. Naruhodo. Article about ballerina. An article on the back page of a Russian newspaper. The headline reads, "Renowned prima ballerina of the Novavich Ballet disappears from Shanghai." I guess I should have a look at this one too. I'm afraid I can't read a word of Russian. No, me neither. I have no idea what any of this says. The pair of you floundering is a sorry sight. Allow me to offer some assistance. The article on the front page of this newspaper is concerned with a fearsome Russian revolutionary. It reads, "Revolutionary villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai." Yes, you told us that before. It reveals also that those who see the man's beard with their own eyes never live to tell a tale. Oh my goodness, he is fearsome. Well, presumably the newspaper photographer was alright, wasn't he? The solution is obvious, of course. If he despises his beard to that degree, he need only shave it off. I'm not quite sure that's the problem, Mr. Sholmes. Okay, there was one thing left. Before we started talking, you were examining Kazuma's desk, weren't you? Kazuma. Ah, yes, the victim. Did you notice anything useful? Anything at all? Observe for a moment the desktop of the victim. We see that the victim was engaged in penning something. Some text, okay. London diary. Kazuma was keeping notes of the trip. Ah, but I don't think you should read his private writings. It could upset people. Tragic, and something you ought to perhaps elucidate before the act of reading. You mean you've read it already? It is my business to know what other people do not. Yes, believe it or not, I know a smattering of Japanese. Oh, I see. Well, you're about to know what a Susato takedown is. Not if it's Holmes or Sholmes or whatever doing it. Susato-san, aren't you going to throw the detective with one of your trademark takedowns? I'm sorry, Naruhodo-san. What on earth do you mean? Life is so unfair. Anyway, to return to the matter at hand, namely this diary belonging to the victim. It would appear the final sentence is incomplete, as if the author were cut short. Tell me, what is the nature of the writing? Pray be precise as to the details. Oh, but I thought you knew Japanese. A smattering, dear boy, a smattering. Sayonara, bonsai, mikado. Nado nado. I trust you're suitably impressed. Ah, but this diary is littered with complicated-looking characters of which I can read precisely none. Does he mean kanji? So what was all that showing off about before then? If you would be so kind as to show me, I would be happy to read it for you, Mr. Sholmes. I'm much obliged. My dear madam. The final entry here in Kazuma-sama's diary consists of just 2 short sentences. The first reads, 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. A whistling sound? These are very deep waters. Pray, go on. The second sentence reads, 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? What on earth does that mean? I have no idea. I've never heard that expression before. The ventilator grill, you say? The man was presumably referring to the lattice there on the wall, which connects to the adjoining cabin. Yes, the adjoining cabin. Kazuma's diary has been entered into the court record. So, I believe I've given you enough to consider for the time being, at least. Do you have somewhere to go? As it happens, the victim's writings in his diary have piqued my interest. The matter warrants further investigation, I believe, and if I am still too long, the seasickness takes hold. Oh, I suppose you're thinking of investigating the cabin next door, which the ventilator connects to. Great detectives are a curious breed. Our minds rebel at stagnation. We crave mental exaltation. So yes, I intend to investigate. Hence the truth will become clear soon enough. Do you think perhaps that we could go with you? No, that would be somewhat complicated. What? But why? A simple glance at your wrist should reveal the answer. Oh, these. After all, you're the prime suspect in this matter. There's no point trying to turn it into a question. You're the one who decided I was the culprit in the first place. Whatever do you mean? I have no recollection of naming you as the culprit at any point. You must be joking! You just said it only a moment ago! Dear me, you are clearly misguided. I would have no cause to say such a thing. Well, actually, Mr. Sholmes, I did hear you say that too. You're quite sure? Well, that's very strange. I wouldn't have said you had the face of a criminal, you know? Not really. So what? Were you looking at my knees before? Some great detective you are. Well, anyway, that was then and this is now. What do you mean? What I mean, sir, is this. If you are the culprit, then you must play the part more convincingly. Roll over and accept your fate. Now he's just being plain rude. Okay, did he leave? And off he goes, having just laughed in my face. His sense of humor is as twisted as his name. Naruhodo-san, what are you just standing there for? We must go and investigate the cabin next door as well. Aren't you forgetting something? What about these? There's no way I can... Aiya! What, she's just gonna break them? After Kazuma-sama spent his dying moments struggling to leave us a clue, you're willing to give up? You're just going to roll over and accept your fate? As if you gave me any choice in the rolling over part. I think we still have some investigation to finish off in here first, don't we? Let's carry on examining what we can in this cabin while we wait for a chance to slip next door. Good idea. The situation doesn't look good for me, but there are still things I can do to help myself, and I owe it to Kazuma to do everything I can to find a way out of this, and bring the real culprit to justice. Okay, I'm gonna stop here for tonight, though, because it's getting late. And I'd like to still be able to spend a bit of time with the family before I hit the sack myself. So I'm gonna have to say goodnight now. And wish you a good rest of the night. Take care and all that. Yep, you're welcome, Monica. You have a good rest of the night then, and enjoy playing the game since you said you were going to play it yourself. Have a good time with it, and see you tomorrow then, if you can make it. Bye-bye, and thank you for watching. See ya. Yeah, you too. Thank you very much.